That's a classic.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, March 23rd, 2019. This is your award-winning Gibbo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1123.
This is No Agenda.
Celebrating new beginnings and broadcasting live from the capital of the drone, Star State, here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're not celebrating the Brexit, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, there's no Brexit to celebrate just yet.
Huge protests.
Well, no, that was not a protest. It was the People's March.
It's a People's March.
It was not a
Huge
protest. It's the Put It to the People March. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what they're going to end up doing, by the way.
Yeah.
Listen, they're going to be putting it to the people, I can assure you.
Would you like a report?
Well, I have one too, but play yours.
As the British Prime Minister Theresa May made her usual trip to church on Sunday, the speculation it's anything but business as usual within her cabinet. Several newspapers in the UK say that ministers are plotting a coup against Mrs May to replace her with a caretaker leader.
Uh-oh.
The Times claims the senior Conservative David Lidington is the likely choice to replace the PM because he's effectively her deputy. Mr Lidington isn't so sure.
I don't think that I've any wish to take over from the PM. I think he's doing a fantastic job. I tell you, one thing that working closely with the Prime Minister does is cure you completely of any lingering shred of ambition to want to do that task. I have an absolute admiration for the way she's going about it.
On Saturday, a huge demonstration was held by people opposed to Brexit. Organisers say more than 1 million people were there. Campaigners waved European flags and placards called for a second referendum.
I have rare audio of one of the speakers at the Put It to the People, which I think...
before you do that, I want to mention it's always interesting to me when they say organizers' estimate.
Oh, yes. You mean as in... organizers, because these signs were good. These signs was kind of a hybrid. They're trying to do, if you looked at the signs, the Put It to the People signs, they looked like they were homemade, but they were anything but. They were professional.
Yes, and it's really incumbent upon journalists to make the estimate of how many people themselves.
Not the organizers, which is Open Britain.
Open Britain. That's exactly the right name, too.
Also, they have a wiki page, Open Britain. They are a pro-European Union campaign group set up in the aftermath of the 2016 European Union referendum. Individuals leading this are former ministers Pat McFadden of Labour, Norman Lamb, a Liberal Democrat, and conservatives Anna Soubry, Nicky Morgan, and Dominic Grieve, none of whom I know anything about.
Yeah, and we probably won't know anything about him on this show.
No.
Anyway, next clip, go.
I was going to play a quickie here.
Yeah.
One of the speakers in the crowd.
You can only vote for a deal if you let the people vote on it too.
The people vote, yeah.
That's the only way. That's the only way out of this mess. The way to solve this crisis is to recognise we're all in this together. The way to break the stalemate is for Parliament and the people to come together. The way to reunite our country is to decide on our future together. It's time to say with one voice, put it to the people.
I like the positioning, because the way I receive this is, it shouldn't just be Parliament. It shouldn't just be the people. It should be everyone together. Kumbaya. Simpatico.
Well, the joke, of course, is that...
Kiretsu.
Yes, exactly.
Kiretsu.
Of course, the joke is that they could have just... They voted to leave. They could have just left and gone with WTO rules and become the trading.
Well, they can still do that. It's not like
they're not going to do that.
No. Well, no.
But the point is, they could have done it right away, and it might have been more doable then than it is now, because this argument, because they've come up with these ideas. Mm-hmm. We just can't do something simple like leave. Can't do that.
Even the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Isn't that the Minister of Finance or the
He's like the secretary.
Yeah, Secretary of the Treasury. Of the Treasury. He's all for another referendum.
So I'm not sure that there's a majority in Parliament in support of second referendum, but it's a perfectly coherent proposition. Many people will be strongly opposed to it.
Not
but
us.
It's a coherent proposition, and it deserves to be considered along with the other proposals that you've got on the list.
Yeah, interesting use of that word there, coherent.
I like it. I'm going to start using it. It's a very coherent idea.
So just to reiterate, from the moment this Brexit thing cranked up, we knew there would be a do-over, a second referendum. And
why do we know that, Adam?
That is because it is the EU way, John. Is when they were voting on the Lisbon Treaty. Oh, I'm sorry, France and Holland, not good enough. You got to do over. Oh, Ireland, well, let's just vote again to make sure you know exactly what you meant to say. And they just keep doing votes until they get the answer they want.
I thought the Ireland one went 3 votes.
It's possible. Just keep going. Yeah.
Come on, 2 out of 3.
Come on, that ain't bad.
One of those guys that's betting.
I like.
No, okay, 2 out of 3. 5 out of 7. Come on, no, wait.
I liked Uri Geller's open note to Theresa May. Do you remember Uri Geller?
Oh yeah, the spoon bender.
Yes, the spoon
faker.
He's this. In his open letter, he is very clear that the CIA has confirmed his special powers. He plans to transmit his psychic energy into Theresa May's brain at the very mystical time of 11:11 in the morning and evening every day from a secret location near his home in Israel. I urge him.
What is he going to tell her?
Oh. I urge and plead with the people to think, even if it's for a few seconds, at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m., to send Theresa May that message, to revoke Article 50 and remain in the EU. Energy can be transmitted, energy can be received, and the collective energy of people who want to achieve something is massive. That's true.
Oh, brother. Okay,
imagine everyone would be like, damn, man, all my spoons are bent. Stop that, Uri Geller.
So this is becoming the fiasco that we predicted, of course. Mm-hmm. Although I don't know if we kind of predicted it was going to go in this. It was going to be this funny.
This does go beyond even our wildest dreams.
And one of the things that you've noticed is that these guys are all changing positions and trying to. And they're imagining what happened to begin with, and people that would probably be more on the fence are now really against Brexit, and so you get to hear a lot of funny things. But let's play. I think this is from CBS or PBS, one of the two. The Brexit March, just the part one, and this will be the backgrounder on the march, and there's 1 million people, which looks more like 500,000, but who cares?
More than 1 million people rallied in the streets of London Saturday to demand
CBS.
A second Brexit referendum. It's one of the largest demonstrations in the UK in recent years, and it's the latest effort to halt Britain's departure from the EU, a process that's divided the country. Last Friday, EU leaders agreed to delay Brexit until at least April, as Prime Minister Theresa May scrambles to put together a new deal. CBS News foreign correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti has more from London.
It's one of the largest marches in recent UK history. Up to 1 million people expected to take to the streets today, calling for a second vote on Brexit. It's an unlikely outcome, but crazier things have happened in British politics over the past few years.
Oh? Really?
Well,
what was crazier?
But CBS is all in on that. These guys stay in the EU. Whatever happened? Remember when they used to have big protests about the students who were bitching and moaning about their fees and things like that? Uh-huh. And they practiced tea kettling.
Well, not tea kettling, kettling. Kettling, yes, where they push people into an alleyway and then keep them there. Yeah, but that was unorganized. They had no organizers who could tell the authorities how many people there were. Those were just ruffians.
Okay, well, that's the difference.
School kids, ruffians.
These aren't ruffians. These are organized ruffians. Yeah. Let's go to Brexit March 2, and we get to hear some people discussing this now.
There's a movement worldwide to dial back globalization, and that's what you're seeing here. I think a lot of support for Brexit wasn't really about the EU.
What do we want? Brexit! Dialing back narrowly won, but enacting Brexit has proven disastrous. Fraser Nelson is with conservative magazine The Spectator.
Leave campaigners made this seem like it was going to be cut and dry. They sold voters a bag of goods that may be too good to be true.
Those who did think it would be easy were being very naive, and they've been shown just how naive they were here.
What began as a grand vision of British freedom became a constitutional crisis as Prime Minister Theresa May tried to please both sides of her minority government.
A constitutional crisis in a country that doesn't have one? That's interesting.
So here's this CBS. So here we are. We start with the guy saying, well, this never was about the EU.
What? Oh, no.
It was about globalism.
Oh.
At the beginning of the clip, he says, there was this anti-globalist thing going on, man. Like, you've seen it everywhere. It's
let me hear it again. Let me hear it again, what he said.
There's a movement worldwide to dial back globalization. And that's what you're seeing here. I think a lot of support for Brexit wasn't really about the EU.
Huh. Okay.
So this is a new switch on the narrative, right?
It's maybe to make people who are against Brexit to seem like even more a-holes?
I guess, or just diluted. I have no idea what to do. But they're doing this on every level,
right?
And so the idea is that these guys were misled. They were stupid. It was just a dumb idea. Who came up with this stupid idea? And they're demeaning the Brexiters, and it's just a fantastic moment for propaganda, especially if you like to study it.
Yeah.
But this idea that it wasn't about the EU, it was about globalization.
Yeah, that's
is
great.
Nonsense.
That's great.
It was about Brussels telling the Brits what to do. It had nothing to do with globalization. That wasn't even in the conversation.
Well, in fact, the only other thing
of us.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The two of us are the ones that talk about that more than they did.
Yeah, the only other thing that the opposition, the Remainers were talking about is, you just don't like immigrants. I'll take that as one of the reasons, maybe, but not globalism.
Yeah, so they're changing. They're very slowly changing the narrative. And then the guy from The Spectator, is a conservative publication's all on board with, there's a bunch of dummies that came with this idea. It was stupid. We should have stayed in the EU. We needed a people's vote because this was obvious looking at it in hindsight. And then poor Theresa May was an idiot.
Yeah.
The whole thing is just becoming, from our perspective,
it's fantastic.
Hilarious.
Yeah, fantastic. Of course. Do you see the couple of Germans that sent 1,500 toilet rolls to the Queen just in case she runs out after Brexit happens?
Yes.
The Brits
make no mistake.
The Brits are rather insulted.
This is Germany's third attempt at taking over the place, and I know this is the most creative.
They may pull it off this time.
Oh, they're pulling it off.
Yeah.
Let's go to clip 3.
Meanwhile, EU leaders place full blame on the Brexit campaigners who promise so much, but so far have delivered so little.
I've been wondering what that special place in hell looks like for those who promoted Brexit without even a sketch of a plan how to carry it safely.
And along with the marching here on the streets, an online petition calling on Parliament to scrap Brexit altogether has already amassed more than 4 million votes. The deadline to leave the EU was originally scheduled for March 29th, but in a sign of just how messy things have become, that's been pushed back by at least 2 weeks.
Now, of course, petitions don't elicit 4 million votes.
No, this is an online thing. Yeah. It's not even signatures.
Online.
Yeah, it's not even signatures.
It's not even signatures.
Yeah. It's like that's the thing.
Somehow, I'm sorry. We're stepping on each other today for some reason. But somehow CBS has it as it's elicited 4 million votes.
Oh yeah, of course. The reason we're stepping on each other, I should have probably told you, I am very sick.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I think
I want to stop you here because you are. I've complimented you about this before.
Yeah.
You are so good that I can never tell. You could be on your deathbed.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Adam Curry.
Hey, everybody, it's Adam Curry. I'm dead. Now, I normally I wouldn't tell you, but yes, we're stepping on each other. I'm very fuzzy. I think I told you after the last show. Tina had been home all week. You know,
right, the kids.
Yeah, she works at Ronald McDonald House, which is 30 rooms where families stay, and the kitchen. It's all common area. It's all integrated. So when and they have kids who are in the hospital, and also their siblings are staying at the house. So there's just disease running around everywhere.
It's disease.
Just disease. And, Tina's like, oh, hey. And the kids love her, and they slobber all over. So it's very hazardous. And she was down and out for the whole week. And I'm like, hey, baby, don't worry about it. And it was Friday. Friday night when I went to bed, I heard you in my head, but I fell asleep, unfortunately. So Saturday morning when I woke up, I tried to OD on the vitamin D. It was too late.
Oh, you can't do it after.
It was too late. And
it does help a little.
Yeah,
but not enough to make a difference.
Yeah, so yes, normally I wouldn't tell you, but I'm a little fuzzy.
Okay. Well,
you'll have to carry the show, Dvorak.
Yeah. Well, back to the Brexit thing. I was thinking about this as I was in bed, waking up. It reminds me when we used to do this show. You used to live in the UK when we started doing this show.
Yes. In fact, right around the time of the Lisbon Treaty is when around the time of the voting.
Into the groove about these guys and their technique of just keep redoing the vote until people finally submit.
Yes.
Very German idea. Submit.
Is that a German idea?
I just was saying.
I like the sound of it. Yes. Sounds very German to me.
So you have... when you were there, you made mention of and I was thinking about this because of Christopher Hitchens' brother, whose name I can't remember, but he looks and sounds just like him, saying that this is just the German Empire reemerging. And I've always kind of taken that to heart, thinking that's probably what this is. And they're finally getting what they want, which is Europe and England and France, and so they can run the place because they think nobody else can do a good job of it.
Right.
And the Brits are just caving. It's obvious that there's 1 million people. And if you looked at besides the phony signs that looked phonily handmade, they had all these EU flags. And this is like the people coming up from Guatemala to the United States with Guatemala flags. They don't want to become Americans. They just want to make some money.
It was well organized.
It's very well organized, and this is just the beginning of the end. But I remember when you were talking about that England was already just 10 years ago was in decline as the way you saw it. It was pathetic. All you had, the whole culture was just drunk.
Drunk, knives.
Especially the kids.
The kids have the family unit has been completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Kids sleep at each other's homes for days on end. And he's like, or they sleep outside, rough. No, it is. It's incomplete. When I was there, now we're talking 10 years ago.
It's got to be worse now. Go on.
It must be. And knife crime and all. It's in the cities in particular. But then further up north, there's huge racial tensions everywhere. Yeah, and the true Brit, like I have many friends, true British gentlemen have just become racist, true British gentlemen, but extremely racist. So yeah, I think it's yeah.
So they're ripe for this. And then when we went to the last couple of years, or I guess a year and a half ago for Thanksgiving. You go into all these pubs, which are now become part of two major corporations. So this characteristics of a pub have changed.
You are absolutely right,
and that makes a difference. And then you talk to the pub women that are behind the bar there. They're all from Poland because they're the ones who either will do this work for that money or who knows what.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing is just like it's remnants and vestiges, but it's just gone downhill, and there's been nothing to prevent it. And now the more recent thing where Cambridge.
And hold on, before you continue, if I may be so bold to say, since I was there from 2000, when was I there? Like 2003, I think, around 4 maybe. Without a doubt in my mind, poor immigration policy is what ruined the culture.
Yeah, could be.
No, I mean, the Brits will tell you. We even had David Cameron say, well, the multicultural society that we planned failed. And I was there when it was failing. It's not a great immigration country. It's an island. Small. And so
it's a small island.
That's where the troubles came from.
And you have this more recent situation with Cambridge, disinviting Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yes.
From coming over and being a fellow for a year.
Well, wait a minute. Wasn't his book banned after the Muslim mosque massacre in Christ Church?
I don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
What book? How to be a good person?
Yes. Yeah, the 12 rules.
That?
It's telling you this was banned. You can look it up. What's his name again? Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson book banned in New Zealand. I'm telling you. Here, Christchurch shooting. Jordan Peterson's popular 12 rules book banned by New Zealand. Banned by New Zealand. The whole country banned. And meanwhile,
why?
Because Mein Kampf doesn't want the competition, which is still being sold, obviously. A national chain of bookstores in New Zealand has pulled copies of Jordan. Well, so I don't think it's
it's innocuous.
It's not a government. It's not a government mandate.
Okay, well, beside the point, the New Zealanders are nuts, and that book is innocuous. And Jordan Peterson is innocuous. I mean, he might like to think he's some sort of a radical or a troublemaker. He's not. He is just a professor that has uses logic to make points that people don't want to.
The people don't like. The people don't like.
Well, they don't like, but why? If from our perspective, I don't know if I can't speak for you necessarily, but I've listened to a lot of this stuff, and it's fascinating. It's innocuous. It's interesting. It's not radical. He's not calling for armed revolution. There's plenty of people that are doing very radical speaking.
No, this is.
In fact, I'll tell you. Here's one. This guy is named John Powell. He's a professor at Cal at the law. Whatever, Bolt or whatever the law school is. And so he's at a free speech, this was a year ago, he's at a free speech discussion. And he has these arguments about free speech, about why, certain kinds of speech should be banned and not tolerated. And it's pretty much I don't have any of those talking points, which I can elucidate. They're very simple. But he starts off his speech in I think this is what's going on in most of these schools, and I think this is what might be going on at Cambridge because they don't want to hear Jordan Peterson, and it stems from this opening statement that Powell makes.
A couple of backgrounds. So I was at the ACLU, the legal director of the ACLU for a number of years. I think that's where Erwin and I first met. So I care deeply about these issues, but I've also written about these issues and think about them a lot. I want to pick up on some of the threads that people have talked about. And first of all, I think the country's in a very incredible place. And I think in some ways, I really applaud this effort to have this conversation over the year. But I don't think this is a defining issue in the country. I think the defining issue in the country is the question of white supremacy. And it gets swept under the rug. There's a new article out in the Atlantic about Trump being the first white president. And this is important.
Yeah.
So Trump apparently is the first white president, according to this guy's read of the Atlantic article that I don't even know about. He says the defining issue. Now, I want to deconstruct just the way this guy talks like this all the time. He's a lawyer. He's a black lawyer with a big beard. And he says the defining issue is the question of white supremacy.
Okay.
So why doesn't he tell what is the question of white supremacy? What is it? What is the question?
Did he answer that anywhere?
No. He at the end he kind of wrapped it around in kind of a ring structure, saying at the end he says, "Well, the thing with free speech is not is we're not asking the right questions. He's got this thing about questions and never never formulates one. But the thinking about free speech is simple, and he goes on forever. I couldn't really get a concise clip.
Well, if I can just point a couple things out. One, the term free speech, which mockingly is written on the internet as freeze peach for some reason, saying you, an example here is Mastodon. So noagendasocial.com is a part of the complete open Fediverse. Anyone can join, can block, do whatever you want. You have your own server, your own crew, and you can connect between servers. Go look into it; it's worth it. In the beginning, we were labeled as a free speech zone, and that was a reason to put us on the block list with that description.
Yes,
and there's another term I learned this past week. One of the millennials was staying home for spring break. Cancel culture. And it's showing up in different publications. And cancel culture is exactly what we're seeing. And it really only works online. And it is, you apologize because of X, Y, or Z, whether it's true or not. If you don't apologize fast enough, we will cancel you. And we just might cancel you anyway. And when it comes to a Peterson, what you will hear about him if you ask anyone, and it's only headlines, John. It's sad, but they're only reading headlines. I think we proved that with the Green New Deal segment we did on the last show with, talk about climate change. None of them had a coherent sentence about it, young or old. Peterson, when he said, and that's how it initially started, he said, look, I'm not going to be forced into using a certain pronoun. I will do it. I will, of course, if you want to be called pink elephant, I'll use that. But I'm not going to be forced by law to do that or by any rule in the university. And he was then deemed to be LGBTQ hater and just throw everything else in. And so, once you're against LGBTQ or properly LGBTQIAPK, then immediately you are a Holocaust denier, you're a racist, just throw it all in, and the cancel culture takes over from there. So through no fault of his own, other than just being a professor and saying one thing that he did not want to do if it was mandated by law or by rules of the university, that's how he now ultimately, his books have been removed, his innocuous books have been removed, pretty much a Bill Cosby pull your pants up book, removed from sale in New Zealand. And that's what's going on. It's this cancel culture. It's the sleeping giants. It's the media matters. That's part of it. But it happens with young adult authors. Your book is racist. Well, you know what happens if the young adults start tweeting about your movie or whatever it is, then the publishers, distributors, they get all bent out of shape. They have to, you better apologize. And the people who stand by themselves and who are lone wolves, so to speak, say, no, I'm not going to let you cancel me. You get canceled. Cancel culture.
Joke's on everybody.
How so that?
So this guy. So the funny thing is, how did I run into this guy? And I'll talk about him more because I think he's an influencer at this kind of university level. How do I run into him? Well, I'm looking. I watched the Seattle is Dying specials.
Yes, that was good.
Como produced, and I recommend anyone go look up Seattle is Dying, KOMO, which is the TV station that ran this thing. Very gross depiction of Seattle, not unjustified, by the way. And I'm watching this, and they kept bringing up the fact that this stemmed, of course, from my running a clip on the I didn't clip it here, but on Twitter of this city council meeting where this guy.
Oh my goodness! Attention. I thought you would. I watched the clip because you tweeted it.
Yeah, I should have clipped it.
Yeah,
maybe I'll clip it for the next show.
Well, explain what we saw there.
So the guy comes up. Some guy says, "I like to talk about some issues in the city. I'm just going to ask, can you Can you at least pay some attention to me? Because everyone's looking at their computers. They're not paying any
No, their
attention.
phones, not their computers. Their heads are bent down looking at their phones. The city
or
council.
their phones or the computers, one of the two.
Yeah.
They're not looking up is the point, except the one woman who says, just talk. She says, you got 3 minutes.
Two.
Now you got 2 minutes. You're wasting time. And he says, "What? Nobody's paying it. Nobody's listening to me." She says, "You got 1 minute." You know what I mean? It was just a gross,
very arrogant. Yes,
arrogant, typical douchebag city council of Seattle. And anyway, the special goes into this, and they blame these guys because they don't care. And they have and apparently they're not doing any policing, and
the police are being told not to arrest these people.
So I went back and looked at this. Who's this district attorney? And there's also some district attorneys from the county, which just look like a bunch of goofballs. None of them even wear a tie. But the district attorney said, "Who's this guy?" And he looked like a normal guy. And so I started looking at the list of contributors to his campaign. This is what we do on the No Agenda Show, people. So I dig into the list of his campaign contributors, and boom, John Powell from University of California, Berkeley shows up.
Huh.
So I said, who the hell is this guy? And so I dig around, and that's when I found this guy's speech at this free speech forum.
Yeah.
And now I've been alerted because for some reason a guy at Cal Berkeley who doesn't seem to be from Seattle or have any connection to Seattle, and Seattle is traditionally fairly racist. I see no connection, but he's given money to this guy for what?
Yeah.
So now I'm suspicious.
Based on that, on the Seattle is Dying documentary, and one of the main conclusions of that, and I'm not completely on board with what they came up with because so the main conclusion is 100% of the homeless in Seattle are in some part of the drug addiction process.
That is their thesis.
That's their thesis, and I have to say that when I look after that, I took a good look around Austin the other day, and I think it's the same thing. These are not necessarily, it's whatever it is, but it's probably mainly meth, and they're addicts, and they're just being allowed to camp out on the street, and it's right by City Hall too. They just camp out wherever they want, and they're not being sent away. The documentary comes up with the luminescent idea to provide free methadone and what's this? There's something with a B. 3 different drug supplements, if you will, that will wean people off of heroin. And in the 70s, I remember the Netherlands did this. We had a big heroin epidemic in the 70s when I was there, and they had the methadone bus, and it would come to your house. It would pull up. It would. It's the ultimate socialist plan. Pull up to your house. Maybe it was more like the ice cream truck. Bing, ding, 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 ding. And then we'd go out there and hop in the bus, get your methadone shot, and you were good to go. But you know what? At least it's something.
Yeah, that's true. At least it's something. There is nothing being done about Seattle or here, which is worse.
Yeah.
In fact, they had this chart showing all these, crime per 100,000 people and how it's gone up. Seattle's second to San Francisco. San Francisco doesn't enforce the law at all. I mean, if you park your car in San Francisco anywhere, pretty much anywhere, the likelihood of the window being smashed in so they can grab something inside is very high in certain areas, not all areas. But because I go to San Francisco a lot, and I have never had that happen to me because I drive a 25-year-old Lexus that needs washing.
People are like, hey, maybe I could live in that thing.
Yeah, keep a lot of stuff in the back so it looks kind of like you're living in it. Then you go, fellow traveler, no problem. Nothing to steal from him.
Well, I was reading this morning that in Palo Alto, in fact, the whole entrance towards Stanford University, El Camino Real, is lined with RVs.
Yeah, we got the RV thing in Berkeley, too.
But, I mean, that's one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And the whole road up to the entrance is just homeless people in RVs.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they're not homeless because they got an RV.
The city governments have been taken over by left-leaners.
Mm-hmm.
And they will not enforce these laws because they're unfair to the homeless. They're unfair to this. They're racist. They're this. They're that. Now, I will say this. I didn't get any clips from it, but one of our producers sent me the latest, and I guess it's been going around the internet. This Mr. Reagan character.
Oh, yeah. I saw Chunk refute Mr. Reagan's most recent video.
Chunk can do what he wants. But Mr. Reagan had doubled down on his basic thesis, and he found new people behind the old people.
Yes.
Which I think is funny because he could do a third version.
Yeah, with
finding newer people.
Who is this new guy? Like Alex something or other? He's behind.
Weird-looking character. He looks a lot like
the guy from
Builders. He looks like him.
Well, he looks like the guy from Zoolander.
He's got big hair.
Yeah.
And they're just a young socialist that think that, but these people, they're going for all kinds of district attorney jobs. That's when I got the hook on the district attorney thing. That also triggered me to go looking around. And it's like these people have got to wake up and vote these people out. We're going to end up like the UK if we're not already halfway there.
And that was a question someone posed to me today. Said, what is the likelihood that in the United States we'd see yellow vests like we see in Paris? And I'm like, 0? Absolutely 0% chance. The American population is not voting anybody out. They're asleep. They're hypnotized. They're debt-laden. And they're hypnotized by what you're supposed to buy tomorrow. Credit Karma is helping you get you there. No, there's no one is going to protest in any manner whatsoever against this.
No, I agree. And if they can't, if you take a look at the Seattle is Dying documentary, and Seattle was, I've always thought about this years ago, about what cities are viable in this country as inner cities. In other words, a downtown. Seattle was always one of them. It was a pleasant city. It was a pleasant small city when compared to places like Cleveland,
right?
Which is just, even though maybe there's a vibrant little financial district, the rest of it is hell. Detroit's a really good example, and I recommend. I've said this when I went there. Everybody should go drive around Detroit. It's just fascinating. There is an inner.
Well, downtown is really is fantastic.
Yeah, the little bitty downtown is fine, but the rest of the place is falling apart. And the downtown had to be rebuilt from what was falling apart. But there was towns like Seattle and San Francisco I'd categorize as such, as opposed to Los Angeles, which has a crappy downtown, that were nice little cities, but they've let them deteriorate, and they're becoming a St. Louis, which is another place to visit. St. Louis is a hellhole.
Well, I think the best place still, and I'm boots on the ground, to watch this taking place before our very eyes is Austin, Texas. And, we have another 6 weeks here before we move to the new house. But you have no idea how many people are streaming into Austin. I mean, people with money and jobs, and there's just one building after another. There's another 35-story Google building going up as we speak, right behind us. And then all you see in these little pockets, like at the intersection between Cesar Chavez and the First Street Bridge, is a little clump of trees, and there's 8 or 9 people smoking, meth or crack or whatever, meth probably. And, they'll pop out whenever the light hits red and walk their signs, which, it's taking place before our very eyes. And it's a head shaker. It's like, just like, that's what bothered me when I was in San Francisco, when we had the company there. People would step over the same homeless people every single day. And I was like, I get tired of that. Why isn't this something being done? Anything. It's the same guy. He sees me, I see him. And here, it's just people they don't exist. They just step over and walk around as if they don't exist.
Well, I blame these city governments. They're very poorly run by socialists and idealists, and you can't get rid of them.
You should be able to get rid of them by voting them out. By the way, Austin is also incredibly racist. All the good schools have only white kids in them, from the people who have Beto in their front yard.
Oh, and enough of us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just for a second, let's listen to the latest Act 19 from the true uprising heroes in France, the Yellow Vests.
Thousands of anti-government Yellow Vest protesters have gathered outside the iconic Sacré-Cœur Cathedral in northern Paris for the 19th consecutive Saturday of demonstrations. The Interior Ministry says that fewer people turned out this Saturday compared to previous weeks, and that will be a relief for the government. Last Saturday, authorities came under fire after 300 so-called casseurs or wreckers essentially ran amok on the Champs-Élysées in central Paris, breaking shop windows, looting, even setting fire to a bank and a restaurant. Unsurprisingly, this Saturday there's been a very strong police presence in the capital. Some 4,700 officers deployed. They say they've made dozens of arrests and that they've already issued a number of fines to people trying to demonstrate in areas where they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, this is new. This is, you're not allowed to demonstrate here. Go away.
Now, crucially, this Saturday, the government for the first time decided to redeploy the army from Opération Sentinelle, an anti-terrorism operation, to protect public buildings in order, in turn, to free up the police.
Yeah, protect the buildings. Kill the slaves. It's a mess. It's a mess over there. It's a mess. Yeah. But then I'm so in awe. They're just unrelenting. They won't let up. Before, I keep forgetting to do this, and we need to talk about this story because we're never going to get a clip about it. No news is covering it, and it's important. This is about the Southern Poverty Law Center, who we have been tracking for a decade until it became really popular. You know, we were pretty much one of the few saying, wow, look at these guys. They got $400-500 million in this huge endowment, and they build up hate lists, and they just
they became a juggernaut for fundraising.
Well, and not only that, but they are at the center of all these fact check networks. So if you want to know if a statement is true, then you go to the fact check. I think it's the International Fact Check Network, which always, all the networks, all the websites, all the news providers all say that they use the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, as one of their guiding beacons of light in who is hateful, who is a racist, who's on the list, who's not on the list. 2 weeks ago, the founder, Morris Dees, the co-founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center, was ousted from his own organization because it's a mess. There's complaints of racism, sexism, and now the president of the Southern Poverty Law Center, Richard Cohen, is stepping down.
Yep.
And it is a non-story. It's just nothing. Employees complaining of toxic workplace, only old white men running the show. Everything that they accuse others of, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they have been guilty of themselves, apparently, for a long time. And people have left. I don't know if they have non-disclosures.
It's been taken over by a bunch of socialist radicals.
Well, when did that start?
Part of what they're being accused of seems to me, a lot of it seems to be disingenuous bullcrap.
What? Of what they're being accused of?
Yeah, I think a lot of I think Morris Dees got ousted because he was a white guy. They didn't want white guys anymore, just a racist thing. And I think this other guy quit because he saw the writing on the wall, because it's been infiltrated by the Bernie Sanders type of socialists. Mostly people of color, but not black people. Just a bunch of mixed.
So are you saying that perhaps none of these atrocities, as they're described, occurred?
I'm saying yes, exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Which makes more sense to me, because these aren't the type of guys. I know these types of guys, these type of guys that are in these kinds of operations. They're circumspect. They're not like a bunch of douchebags in Hollywood. I mean, it's nice to put that idea into everybody's head that everyone's a douchebag from Hollywood.
Good point.
But that's not the case. It's just a bunch of guys.
Okay.
Old men, old white men. And Morris Dees, you ever seen that guy?
He's old, very old.
The guy could get his hand up to pinch somebody in the ass.
Very old white guy.
Very old white guy. Now, so I think this is just a coup d'etat at the Southern Poverty, which is fine because we never liked him to begin with. But so I get this. So Jay brings in this brings in this whole package of direct marketing material.
Uh-oh.
What's this? She says, what is this bull crap? And so it's a letter from Toni Morrison, author, J. Dvorak. Very well done. It looks like it was almost typed just over, please. It's a direct marketing letter of 6 pages. So yeah, 6 pages, which is an old form. And it goes on about how they should give. And then P.S. It always has the P.S. at the end. We do that too.
Yeah.
I would like to add, some of them do P.P.S., by the way. This is after 6 pages of supposed typewritten, and a blue signature. It's got the whole thing. Toni Morrison. I would like to ask you to do 2 small things in addition to sending a generous gift to Morris D's and the SPLC. Please sign the enclosed note of appreciation to Morris and his staff. This huge package went out just before Morris.
Oh my God! This is a very expensive looking package. It sounds like.
Oh, believe me, this is a buck.
So this was a total fail.
Well, I would think.
Yeah.
And me was supposed to do this, do that, and this is from Toni Morrison, and then so she's got a certificate. Well done. So with the little edge on it and everything, certificate of appreciation present. She hasn't done anything. I don't even know how she got on the mailing list. I grilled her about that. Presented to J. Dvorak in recognition of your important contribution to the ongoing fight against hatred and intolerance in America.
Oh.
The name shown above will be added to the Wall of Tolerance in Montgomery, Alabama, to provide inspiration to all those who choose to make a stand against hatred. Thank you for taking the stand. Signed, Morris D's. Founder. I said, Jay, this is a collector's item.
It's a big collector's item.
And so there's also a sheet from the desk of Toni Morrison. And, I don't know what Toni Morrison's got to do with this. She's a writer. And then one of those classic old, I haven't seen a good package like this.
Hey, but hold on a second. So they have a wall of tolerance? I mean, aren't walls immoral by definition?
There's a wall of tolerance in Montgomery, Alabama.
A wall. I think I want that at the new house. I'll suggest to Tina. Can we make a wall of tolerance, please?
Yeah, put a wall of tolerance.
A wall of tolerance needs to go up. Jeez.
And it's got all these little additional things that get packaged in there, just look like any old-fashioned direct marketing thing, which they probably still work, I'm sure. That's just unbelievable. But I got a kick out of this. And then I said, wait a minute, but Morris D's was just ousted. What?
But so the disappointing thing is that, no one is, I think it has to be because of the positioning that everyone is given. Clooney just gave the SPLC $1 million. Yeah. So
because they need the money?
That was virtue signaling. But this should be reported on. And if it and I'm thinking about what you said there, that I guess more, although old white men can also be said in some old ways which may be appropriate, but there's really no reporting, so we really don't know what happened.
This is a scam
because no one's doing the whole thing has been a scam.
The whole thing's been a scam, and so the scam caught up with the scammers.
Yeah, there you go.
And they got scammed out of their jobs. I mean, but I'm not buying it for a minute.
That's why there's 2 of us.
Yeah, well, you'd probably, if you think about it, you probably won't buy it either. Morris D's.
I want to hate him.
Well, I don't like.
I really want to.
The guy's arrogant, but
I want to hate him. I just want to. I can't help myself. Yeah. All right, we got about 15 minutes before we start thanking some people for this program. I think
you want to get into this one thing because I do have the definitive clip for the Mueller thing. Mueller.
I think we should get into Mueller. Yeah, because.
Well, here, let's listen to the.
Well, is this a backgrounder, or do we want to explain?
Well, no, I have a background or two, but I want to do the definitive clip first. This is the PBS NewsHour on Mueller Shield. Mark Shields asked the question.
Hold on a second. Yes, I got it here. All right.
If it's the case there are no indictments being recommended, that's going to bring a sigh of relief from this White House, isn't it?
I think we and that I think and I don't know.
Now you edited that. Yeah, you did.
You caught me.
There was a lot of that. There was a lot of that kind of noise. What I did when this came out, and just so everyone understands where we're at, I mean, I can summarize this very quickly. So Mueller writes a report. It goes to the Attorney General, a new guy, although he's been around for a long time, is just like Bob Mueller. Bill Barr is highly respected.
Yeah, he's an old
respected. And so we respect him. And then Barr writes a note to Congress and to the American people, and he says, all right, here's what I got. I got this in. We're going to take a look at it, see if we can let everybody know what's in it. But just so you know, there is no further indictments, which means no criminal activity that needs action to be taken upon, which was immediately translated into, well, yeah, but, you know, we had this whole thing about you can't indict the sitting president, so maybe he did something really bad, but he just can't really indict him. And all this
one of many.
Just one, yeah. Well, I actually, let me do this for you. I noticed this, and I got real lucky because Tom Starkweather picked up on it too. If you'll recall, let me just pull this up here. When this is one of those famous, I just pulled 30 seconds of one of those great mixes where all the media is talking about tipping point, bombshell, et cetera, et cetera. There was one.
The walls are closing in.
The walls are closing in, and this one.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency.
There's the beginning of the end today.
The beginning of the end.
This is the beginning of the end.
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 The beginning of the end. The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end. In fact, if this were a football game, we're in the third quarter. May even be the beginning of the end.
All right, so the beginning of the end. That was, and the minute the news of the report came out, this got turned around into something new. I picked up on it. Tom picked up on it. I only have a couple examples. There will be more. So remember, we went from, this is the beginning of the end.
The real fight is just beginning.
The way I look at it, this is the end of the beginning.
The beginning of the end. This is just the end of the beginning.
This is the start of something, apparently, not the end of something.
It's the end of the beginning. We went from the beginning of the end to the end of the beginning. Now, they're very creative there in Washington.
Wow.
The end of the beginning. I was blown away. And I was like, oh, I got to find more of these. And Tom actually did a mix with those in there. I was like, gosh, send me those. Because it was, I think it Macy Hirono, she started off. She's the twerp from Hawaii.
That's good. But as I say, this is the way I look at it. This is the end of the beginning.
It's the end of the beginning. So, yes. So Mueller was just the end of the beginning. He left us a trail of breadcrumbs to follow. So it's clear what we need to do. And I went and looked at the Dutch publications, Dutch newspapers. They didn't even mention the indictments. All that you see in the foreign press or the European press that I can read, which is mainly Dutch, Belgian, German, and some French. I think did I get a France 24 clip out of here? No. They just don't hear. Here's Euronews. They don't even mention indictments.
Special counsel Robert Mueller has submitted his report on alleged Russian involvement in U.S. President Donald Trump's 2016 election campaign. And the much-awaited conclusions could be made public this weekend. Mueller handed over his work to Attorney General William Barr on Friday. And Barr has written to congressional leaders promising rapid publication of the results. But the political battle will now focus on whether the full report is to be made public.
See, the key unknown. They don't even mention indictments at all. It's not mentioned. It's just like, the report's here.
To keep you on edge.
Well, yeah, but whereas it was obvious, the first news that came out, which is what most European journalists do, is they copy paste for the next day, is indictments, no further indictments.
I don't know what they're thinking. That one's got me a little bit befuddled because I like the beginning of the end of the beginning.
End of the beginning. Now, how about the New York Times? This was an opinion piece by Carolyn Fredrickson. And Carolyn Fredrickson, I had to look her up because I had no idea who she was. She is the president of the American Constitution Society. And the American Constitution Society, they were the ones that wrote and spent most of the time trying to get the Protect Mueller's Investigation Act going. So these were the people that were so sure that what Robert Mueller was doing was going to bring down the Trump presidency, that this one outfit was pushing and pushing and pushing to get law passed so that Mueller would be protected and couldn't be fired, etc., which ultimately didn't happen, and it appears there was no hindrance. So she gets to do an op-ed, and the title of it is, "We don't need to read the Mueller report. Even if it's never released, the public already knows enough." Now, I'm going to read 3 paragraphs from this, and you tell me if these are lies or not. People lie to hide the truth. They lie to hide crimes. And while everyone is dying for a peek at Robert Mueller's bombshell report, she doesn't even know it's a bombshell report, to see if he says any crimes were committed by the Trump campaign in 2016, the truth is actually already out there, hidden in plain sight. Mr. Mueller's report may never go public, but we don't need a peek at the recommendations he delivered on Friday to Attorney General William Barr to credibly assess that something unethical and likely illegal went on in 2016. The repeated lies told by Trump campaign staff members, lies about their connections to Russian figures, already spin a grand tale of conspiracy and deceit. And it's a tale so suspect and sordid that President Trump and his associates felt the need to lie to hide it from law enforcement. This is not conjecture. Here we go. Some of Mr. Trump's people are already in jail, having been convicted in federal court for lying to investigators about their connections to and interactions with Russians during the 2016 campaign. Is that true?
What happened? These are all procedural indictments. And the one with Flynn being the most egregious, where these guys come in and they start casually chatting, and he's just telling them stuff. And
well, listen to this. Listen to this. There's the top Trump campaign official, Paul Manafort, who was serving time for lying about his history of lobbying for Russian interests and sharing Trump campaign polling data with a Russian intelligence asset during the campaign. I don't think he's in jail for that.
No, he's not.
He's not in jail for that. He's in jail for bank fraud, tax fraud, tax evasion, bank fraud.
Yeah.
There's the close Trump associate, Roger Stone, recently indicted on charges of lying about communications he had with WikiLeaks before it released damaging information about Hillary Clinton that law enforcement believes was stolen by the Russian hackers. It's not entirely true. I don't think he lied about those communications. He
doesn't think so either.
No. So, but this was unleashed and from the same people, the same organization. Which,
the Hillary.
By the way, that's Hillary people. It's Eric Holder. It's all these people are in this American Constitution Society. They were so adamant that Bob Mueller's report. This is the one. This is it. It's going to show. We have to protect it. Protect Mueller. And now we don't even need to read it. That's how desperate this is. And shame on the New York Times.
Oh, the New York Times is pathetic.
Shame
and
on
now
them.
Let's go to somebody else that it seems to be beside himself, which is Chris Matthews, with kind of a similar complaint. And let me just summarize so you won't have to listen to this twice. Matthews believes that because there was so much because there were there was a few meetings between the Russians and Donald Trump Jr. who didn't, he's looking for some
data points.
There's all these data points. That there had to be something nefarious going on, and now it's been ruined by this Mueller report, and he is irked about this.
This is a big lead there. Joining me right now is Democratic Congressman Joe Neguse of Colorado, who sits on the House Judiciary Committee. I'm going back to your question. How can there be a charge here or a claim of collusion? Formally, the term is advancing a Russian conspiracy to interfere and screw with our elections, basically. How can that...
I love how he goes, this is what it's officially called, and then he just throws in screw.
A Russian conspiracy to interfere and screw with our elections, basically.
Screw.
How can that be laid, that blame, that accusation be laid against the president by Mueller if he's not indicting any of Trump's people here?
So thank you for having me, Chris. I've been listening to the questions you've been raising. I think they're important ones, but I think it's hard to speculate until we've actually seen the report.
I'm not speculating. Why didn't he indict? We were told by a DOJ official tonight there will be no indictments. That means no indictments about collusion. Doesn't that startle you after all these meetings?
I suspect that the underlying rationale, and I would hope that the underlying rationale is detailed in the report. It's why the Judiciary Chairman, and you heard from Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, they're ultimately making clear that they believe the report should be released to the public and that the underlying findings and evidence should be transmitted to the relevant committees in the Congress, including the Judiciary Committee. I mean, that's why it's important to get this report so that we can understand the rationale behind decisions to prosecute and decisions not to prosecute.
I'm not patient here because we've been waiting for this thing for 2 years. It comes out on a Friday at 5 o'clock at night. Excuse me. That's the dumping ground.
Yes, especially on March Madness weekend. It's not just the dumping ground. It's the poop pit of the dumping ground.
Yeah, it is. He was right about that.
Well, I do have a thought about this. Especially seeing the president this morning tweeted something like, "Hey, good morning. Have a great day," which means he's feeling fine about it. So I guess he knows something. He's been very, very quiet. He must be very worried. Okay, let's just review Mueller again. So Mueller came in as director of the FBI. It was just weeks before 9/11. It's just a coincidence, but just weeks before, I think maybe even 2 weeks. It was some ridiculously close. He goes through that entire thing, is really a part of the Patriot Act and setting up the FISA courts, and so he's an integral part of this. Then Obama comes in and with Hillary, and they're like, "Oh, look, we have this 10-year term, which was set into law because we never want to have an FBI that can be weaponized again, like it was originally with Hoover." So, and they wrote, was it a 60-page paper explaining how they could give Robert Mueller another 2 years, which he then took, and to clean up whatever messes there were. And in hindsight, seeing this now, I'm pretty confident that looking at the true Russian collusion, which was obviously everything that Podesta and Manafort were doing with the Ukrainians and Russians, with Uranium One, Hillary's reset, the $500,000 speeches in Moscow for Bill, the money that came into the Clinton Foundation. It's very obvious where the true collusion was. And then they had this, this opposition research, which now in hindsight, I don't even think was ever meant to be taken this far. It was just meant to kind of like, we can always throw this PP tape shit out and it'll bring him down. But Trump turned out to be pretty bulletproof with that stuff. Witness the grab him by the pussy tape or audio tape. And then these two jabronis, these jamoke FBI agents, Strzok and Page, they took it way too far, and it went all the way up to the top. Everyone could be implicated. Holy crap, bring in Mueller to clean the shit up. And I think that's all that happened here. He's cleaned everything up.
You think that Mueller's a mop-up man?
Yes, I do. And if he was really good, he'd lay the groundwork for Hillary to swoop in and run against Trump. But I don't think he had the time for that. But yes, I think ultimately now, in hindsight, no indictments. And, you see how the media, if we had the whole thing today, we could say there were 36 indictments, of which a whole bunch were Russian bots and hacking, somewhere. Indictments, by the way, is not convictions. Yeah, they do have a number.
No, that's not going to Brennan or whoever it was.
What's not going to Brennan?
An indictment is a conviction, according to. Remember, there was.
That's just the alleged.
Alleged. Right.
Hold on, let me pull it up for you. Brennan. Here we go. Wasn't this it?
For example, this week on Friday.
Oh no, that's not. Hey, didn't we make that an ISO?
I don't know.
Yeah, we did.
I don't remember it.
Yes. It was Brennan alleged guilty. I got to find this one again.
Yeah, you're not guilty unless you're alleged.
You're not guilty until you've alleged to be.
Unless you're alleged to have committed a crime, you must have it there.
Yeah, it's really odd, but I find all kinds of Brennan stuff, but I don't see the. All right, well, you'll have to forgive me. It's my illness.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he's sick.
So anyway, yes, I have the feeling that Brennan was brought in, but
Brennan, not Brennan, Mueller.
Mueller, I'm sorry. The Mueller was brought in to mop it up because it went way too far. And there, yes, there were meetings, and remember Condoleezza Rice? She said, "Oh, there was this meeting. I wanted nothing to do with it." Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, been all these little things, and most of these people have already been extracted. Everyone's already out, quietly gone away. And with this thesis in mind, I almost want to think that Trump knew it. That's why he was so calm about it. He's like, all right. Because remember when he got in, he's like, I don't want to, these poor Clintons, they're old people. I don't want to, they've suffered enough. I don't want to lock her up.
Suffered enough.
He said that. He said something to that effect. Like, they've suffered enough. I don't want to be locking her up. Let her go. She can be a private person. And I think that Mueller came in like, I got to clean all this crap up. We'll leave you alone. And maybe that's why he was so brazen. He said anything he wanted to, but he never stopped the investigation. It's like, okay, just let him just clean it up and get out of the way. But to say that if you really wanted to get Trump on something, I don't see how it could be difficult. We'll see what's in the report. But I have a feeling there's not going to be much in there.
I don't think it's going to be released. I think it's going to be partly released. I think Barr's going to be circumspect because if this is a cleanup mop-up operation, as we'd like to say, it would have to be something. You can't release the whole thing. You're not going to release the whole thing. You're going to redact the so-called classified information, which there should be none.
It's just not. It's not even going to be in there. It's all the stuff that was done. It's not even going to be in there.
No, but you're going to say when you black out tons of pages. I
don't think we'll see a lot of redacted pages. I really don't. It's going to be.
Okay, well, I think we will see them, and I think that we're not going to see the whole report. And Barr, if I was Barr, for one thing, it's up to him to do what he wants to do with the report. Congress can go on. We want to see the report. We want to see the report. In fact, Trump, knowing that it's not going to happen, has come out and said, I think the whole report should be released.
Yes, exactly.
And I think he's insincere because let's play this
no kidding.
Report. Don't you think?
Yes, of course. No, it's just funny. I think Trump's being insincere. Mm-hmm. Well, that's never happened.
Mueller report reactions by Beto and others.
Reaction to the completion of the Mueller report was swift. The Justice Department notified top congressional leaders from both parties that it had received the report from special counsel Robert Mueller, and many, including all 8 Democrats in Congress who are running for the president, called for the report to be made public. Ed O'Keefe is on Capitol Hill with the very latest. Ed, good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. When Washington's most anticipated moment in recent memory actually happened, almost nobody was up here on Capitol Hill. Congress is on recess, but that didn't stop members of both parties from calling for the report's full release.
That report needs to be made public.
The Democratic race for president quickly became a campaign to make the Mueller report public.
Nobody, including the President of the United States, is above the law. The American people have a right to know.
Competing candidates found common ground in calling for the release of the unredacted report.
We are owed the facts, and if we do not receive them 243 years in, there's nothing that guarantees us a 244th.
Despite the news there will be no new indictments, Beto O'Rourke did not back off his call to impeach the president.
Those are grounds enough for members of the House to bring up the issue of impeachment.
But Democratic leaders in Congress aren't yet ready to go there.
I'm not going to draw any conclusions until we see not only the whole report, but the underlying findings and documentation.
Democrats said they're prepared to subpoena the report and suggested the special counsel should testify.
I think it would be very valuable to the American people to have Mr. Mueller come before the Judiciary Committee in public and walk the country through the report.
Friday night on the Bill Maher show, Eric Swalwell was on, and here's what he said they're doing.
Did the Democrats put too much trust in the Mueller report? Because I don't need the Mueller report to know he's a traitor. I have a TV.
Yeah, and people are on their way to jail,
have gone to jail. There's probably a farming out of other investigations. But yes, if you have a TV or a Twitter account, you've already seen obstruction of justice. And so I think the team has seen that. But here's what's important, is that the public sees the report contemporaneously with the president. He should not be allowed to edit. He should not be allowed to restrict or sanitize. And Mueller has to come before Congress and tell us its veracity as far as what
Can
Barr
you make that happen?
Yeah, we're going to subpoena him. And Adam Schiff announced that.
You subpoena Mueller?
They're going to subpoena Mueller. This is going to be great. The ratings bonanza for C-SPAN.
Mueller says he doesn't care.
He doesn't care what?
Be glad to go on to thing. But I wonder if there's some sort of quid pro quo where Mueller actually gets paid
to go on the show,
to go in front of Congress.
Do you think he cares about money?
It's not like he's not going to throw money away. Yeah, I do think he cares about money. If he's going to waste his time for hours and hours of being, slammed and banged,
right?
I think he should get paid.
Well, that would be a good precedent. I don't think that happens, does it?
I don't know if it hasn't.
Here was just because I played the bit from Bill Maher. This was Bill Maher's opening Friday night. So the report is in, no indictments, and here's how he spins it for his crowd.
We have a big night. It's a big news day. I know why you're happy. The Mueller report finally came out. For liberals, this is like Christmas if it was based on real events. But
I'm not quite sure how I should take that joke. I couldn't quite figure out what he meant there.
But wait, nobody knows what's in the report. Everybody on TV is giving an opinion on this very important report that they have not read. I just saw a graphic on MSNBC, breaking speculation. What we do know for sure is that individual one is in deep number two.
So he's got a lot of jokes, but the jokes don't really refer to the reality in this case.
But will it matter? Because no matter how damning it is, Trump for the last 2 years has poisoned the well, constantly saying Mueller is the crooked one, right? And it's all been written by angry Democrats, and it's the deep state. That's what I used to do when I knew a bad report card was coming. I'd be like, Mom, keep in mind the teacher is an asshole who has it out for me.
There you go. That's exactly. So the switch is like from, Mueller's going to take care of it. Papa Mueller is going to make it happen to, he's just like the asshole teacher.
Yeah, that's the analogy he drew.
Yeah. I think the guy that was really left out to dry is Brennan, though. By the way, I found the clip.
People are innocent until alleged to be involved in some type of criminal activity.
That's a classic.
Yeah, it was misspelled, so I got it now. I've corrected it. But Brennan, I think a lot of this was his operation. He's so stupid.
Yes. If you're going to play I think I know what clip you're going to play. And I'm now beside myself because I had this clip and I don't remember clipping it.
This is the one 2 weeks before yesterday?
He just predicts all hell's breaking loose.
Yes, and I think that he really got screwed in this deal. And it when you in hindsight, so this was 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and he's even saying, I don't think he wants to release the report on the Ides of March. When the Ides of March is when we had the New Zealand shooting.
Yes,
this is
a great clip.
But all the things he says in here, I think he was left to hang. This is like, hey, you know what, son? Brennan, why don't you go play little analyst there on NBC? Don't worry, we'll take care of it. We got Bob Mueller on the case. You're good, man. We're good. Your plan was great. Don't worry about it.
For example, this week on Friday, not knowing anything about it, but Friday is the day that the grand jury indictments come down. And also this Friday is better than next Friday because next Friday is the 15th of March, which is the Ides of March. And I don't think Robert Mueller will want to have that dramatic flair of the Ides of March when he is going to be delivering what I think are going to be his indictments, the final indictments, as well as the report that he gives to the Attorney General.
What makes you believe that he has more indictments?
Because he hasn't addressed the issues related to criminal conspiracy as well as any individuals.
Criminal conspiracy involving the Russian influence?
Russians, yes, yeah. I think it was very...
And that's an area...
U.S. persons.
That's an area you know something about. That investigation was developing while you were still on the job.
I like how he gets caught off guard by this question. We'll roll it back just a little bit. Knowing that, so Matthews is saying, well, this happened while you were still on the job.
That's O'Donnell. Larry O'Donnell.
O'Donnell, I'm
Lawrence
sorry.
O'Donnell.
Yeah, so this happened while you were on the job, and he's got, because he created this. I think Brennan was the guy.
I kind of cornered him there, I think. I don't think O'Donnell meant to.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't. And Brennan is caught flat-footed.
U.S. person.
That's an area you know something about. That investigation was developing while you were still on the job.
Well, it was in terms of looking at what was going on with the Russians and whether or not U.S. persons were actively collaborating, colluding, cooperating, and involved in a conspiracy with them or not. But also if there's going to be any member of the Trump family.
Did you see enough at that stage to believe that there would now that would result in indictments once investigated?
I thought at the time that there was going to be individuals who were going to have issues with the Department of Justice. Yes, and I think we've already seen a number of individuals who have been indicted, either have pled guilty or have been convicted now. So, again, I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm not talking with anybody in special counsel.
Yes, you do. You have the inside knowledge
but not about the status of the investigation right now.
Yeah.
But I do think also if anybody from the...
What did he say there? Because he didn't like that either.
Don't have any inside knowledge. I'm not talking with anybody in special counsel.
Yes, you do. You have the inside knowledge.
But not about the status of the investigation right now. Yeah. But I do think also if anybody from the Trump family, an extended family, is going to be indicted, it would be in the final act of Mueller's investigation, because Bob Mueller and I think his team knows that if he were to do something, indicting a Trump family member, or if he were to go forward with indictment on criminal conspiracy involving U.S. persons, that would basically be the death knell of the special counsel's office, because I don't believe that Donald Trump would allow Bob Mueller to continue in the aftermath of those types of actions.
John Brennan, thank you very much. You have to listen to every word in the John Brennan answer. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Yes, you do. You got to listen to every word, because this guy had no clue what was going on.
He was totally
he was in the dark.
Loop.
In the dark. Whereas, what's his face? Didn't Rod Rosenstein come out with some statement that everyone can before the report went to the Attorney General? And it was Comey, I think. Maybe Comey was even backpedaling. Everyone was kind of soft on it, but Brennan didn't know.
Yeah, he was left out.
Screw that guy.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so to summarize, you think the report will never come out?
No, I didn't say that. I said the report as a giant, one whole big report, unredacted, will never come out. I think they will release bits and pieces.
Okay. I'm hoping...
Because here's the thing. I am the Attorney General. It's my call.
Mm-hmm.
And all these guys, you must do this, you must do that. Hey, you guys aren't my supervisors.
Right.
I would put my back up against the wall if I had all these demands put on me by these outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
Congress has no they're not managing.
Wait, they have oversight.
They have oversight, but they cannot tell you what to do.
True.
They're not your boss.
Right.
It's it's from the exec. In fact, it conflicts with your boss. This is the Attorney General is part of the executive section of government. You got the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. The legislative can't be telling executive people what to do. It's not their job. They don't have any it's not their job. It's just not. It's not separation of powers. It's a problem. And I would be, if I was the Attorney General, I would say this is bull crap. I'm not going to do what you just because you want me to do it. I want you to do stuff too. Hey, I tell you what. I want you to all quit your jobs, resign from office. Go do that. He can't do that. This guy, they don't have to listen to him either.
Oh, he'll be canceled. We'll just cancel that guy. We just go on Twitter. We go on Twitter and we cancel him.
I would be surprised if he knuckled under at this point.
And with that, high time, I thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in cancel culture, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all beats. They're found beats on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water. The dames and nights out there.
In the morning to the trolls in the troll room. NoAgendaStream.com is where you can listen to the show live. You can troll around. You can troll us. You can troll each other. You could also give us helpful little one-liners and information that works. And we love seeing that. At least I do. I always got my third eye in the chat room. In the morning to Darren O'Neill. the ping-ponging back and forth with CSB. Darren O'Neill brought us the artwork for episode 1122. The title of that was Cyclogenesis, and it was another winner. It was the Burger King logo with Brexit King. Order.
This is a Darren O'Neill specialty.
This is the kind of thing he does very well, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'll put 8 pieces up. And I don't know how he does it. He's got a factory.
He's got a lot of templates.
He's got like the Andy Warhol factory. He's got hot models running around just making this stuff.
He's probably got a Wacom table and he's things all over the place, and he's throwing them together and then posting.
Well, he's doing something.
Yeah, he's a production guy.
We like it very much. Thank you so much, Darren. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can upload your artwork for every single show. You can get a good idea of... Now, did you want to say something about the evergreens? Because we also have an evergreen category. You were bitching about that when we were doing the art. You were going to mention something about...
I was moaning about the fact that some people were producing evergreen that's a total evergreen. It's got nothing to do with the show. It's just a really nice piece of art that says no agenda on it, or it's got some generality or 33 or something. Mm-hmm. And it would be, and we go to those once in a while when we can't really find anything appropriate. We'll find a good piece of evergreen. But often the artist will post it in the regular show thing, not in the evergreen section.
Right.
Not that you should post everything. A lot of evergreen stuff shouldn't be in there, by the way, because it's not evergreen. Evergreen, you have to understand what it means.
Yeah, give a definition. That'll help.
Always be used. And if it's a picture of Bill and Hillary, it's probably not an evergreen. Or if it's a picture of something that just took place, some news event, and it's kind of cool looking, or with AOC and something like that, is probably not an evergreen. Evergreens are something that could be used 10 years from now.
Exactly.
And a lot of people post that type of art in the regular stream, and they never put it in the evergreen.
And I will say that a few shows ago, we used an evergreen that was at least 8 years old, maybe even older. So, yes, they do get used, and we do peruse it.
Long since given up on the show. He's a man overboard.
And we highly appreciate all the work that our artists do. Even if they're overboard, it's still beautiful work. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you for participating in the Value for Value Network. And along those same lines, we'd like to thank our executive and associate executive producers who brought some value for today's show.
Yes, indeed. In fact, we do have a couple of high-end producers right off the bat. And exactly why my scrolling isn't working, I don't know. You might as well read his first name. I do have the note.
It is Chuck Oberfrank. Oberfrank. John Adam, I've been listening since episode 1. Yes, really. And finally donating. I used to read John's Inside Track column and watched Adam on Headbangers Ball. You just dated yourself, Chuck. So after many years of not donating, I am cheap. I'm pitching in. You can decide whether to de-douche me or not, but I still consider myself a douche for not donating for so long. I disagree. You are de-douched.
You've been de-douched.
I waited a number of years for a stock to pay off and thought it was the perfect time to donate. Enjoy my capital gains and don't spend it all on candy. At the Chicago Ronald McDonald House Charities event last year, I IM'd Tina the Keeper, an ITM. She replied back was probably wondering, WTH. No, she liked that, actually. I really enjoyed your coverage of the 2016 elections and find it unfortunate that you lost listeners because of your coverage. I do miss the old second half of show Alien Reports and your reports from Europe. Well, we do reports from Europe from time to time. Can you play the full Ants song and drone again at the end of the show? My 2 teenage boys love those jingles. They're full songs, yes. And please allow me the night name of Sir Chuck, the Oracle of Oswego. Keep up the great work. Oh, Adam, the podcast sounds amazing. Chuck Oberfrank from Oswego, Illinois.
And he came in with a 1123, and then our next donor, Viscount of Marin over here, came in with 1123, and these are both show numbers, and this is the club.
Oh, they are in the club. Because you had a Fibonacci idea going on, which I kind of liked.
Right, well, because 1123 is part of this Fibonacci sequence.
Right.
I didn't solicit anybody to donate that. It was a 50.
It's the power of the Fibonacci.
Part of Fibonacci.
It's just the power of Fibonacci.
Yeah, well, the Fibonacci thing is very strange. Always been odd. Anyway, it has something to do with the golden rule and all the rest of these art things.
The golden ratio. Yeah.
Golden ratio. Viscount and Marin came with the same amount, so we actually have 2 club members, which is very rare.
Fantastic, yes.
Nowadays. I'm way overdue on donations, he writes. You truly are the best podcast in the universe. Jingle, karma for all, Viscount and Marin.
You've got karma.
And then comes Anonymous at $581.32, which is the Fibonacci thing again.
Yep.
Only up the ante, which he did himself.
Beautiful. Thank you.
He says no jingles, no karma. Thank you very much. Viscount Roger Boots in Mechanicsville, Iowa, 35622. He says also improved. Now Viscount Roger Boots via info via email to come. So is he on the Viscount list to upgrade?
I think so. Let me double check.
Because I do not have his email.
No, I don't. Okay. So
put him on there. And
I will add him there, yes.
Email.
So Viscount, so it's
now see,
Roger Boots, now Viscount. Okay, got it.
Let me see if there's an email from him that should have come in. There it is.
Good.
He sends a PDF. Just to complicate things more. Okay, I will click on PDF and I open it with Paint. It's just the accounting. Okay.
All right.
So there's his accounting.
Well, you'll be Viscount. You're on the list. It's all taken care of. Thank you very much.
Sir Chase McCarthy, $333.33 no cents, moved 10 times in 11 years. Hence, call me Baron at Large.
Okay, so that is also a title upgrade. Good. Okay, Baron, and he will be Baron at Large. You got it.
Anonymous in Redwood City, $295. He'll be our first associate executive producer. First, I'd like to remain anonymous for purposes of the show and the event. It's read. This is read. Yeah, we read everything over $200. I, like many of your listeners, have too long been a boner, and now I'm going to be a donor. I gave years ago in small amounts, but I believe them to be inconsequential. So now I'm restarting my personal night donation tracker from scratch and beginning fresh with a $295 donation courtesy of the state of California tax return.
All right.
I'm a millennial who started listening nearly a decade ago at about 16 years old, and while I have fallen overboard a few times since then, I'm proud to say I'm still hanging in there. You guys are an insurmountable force in more ways than one and have shaped not just my worldly outlook and way of life, but the same for scores and scores of people, I am sure. I don't think either of you gentlemen or any of us producers will ever realize just how much impact you have had on the world.
Why? I like this part. This is the part where I got kind of doughy-eyed.
It's like two guys in the corner. The show, it's the concepts, your voices, and that hitting people in the mouth with the messaging will long be felt way after all of us have moved on.
That's code for when we're dead, John.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Needless to say. To work as a police officer, I go.
Oh, right
John,
on.
not all of us are lazy. Although I'm at the donut shop right now. I know I didn't say that. Although there are many of us, those people that there are in any field, a lot of us, however, listen to the show. Yeah, we have a lot of police that listen to the show and military. We care about protecting the public still and are silently nodding our heads with a no agenda listenership. I try my best to hit people in the mouth while I can, and also for the show. No, I'm just that's a joke I couldn't resist.
Yeah, they're
and
great.
have been successful, but there's always more work to be done. I'd appreciate a jobs karma, as I'm hoping to jump into a promotion sometime in the near future. You guys are simply the fucking best. All of our lives wouldn't be the same without you in it. And he's in Redwood City.
Well, that's for sure. Well, thank you very much, Anonymous. Also for Anonymous to be in Redwood City. Well, it's nice to hear that, and thank you for sticking with us and climbing back on board. Happy to hand out a jobs karma to you.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got
karma.
Sam Garcia in Valrico, Florida. I think Valrico. 239.25. A little over a week ago, I was on a cruise ship on the way back from the Bahamas. I had been telling my girlfriend that we should go to the casino to play roulette so we can put money on 33 and win money for the show.
I can already feel where this is going.
She said, sure, why not?
Sure.
So I sat down, bought $40 worth of chips. In the first spin, I put $10 on black and won $5. The next spin, I put $25 on 33 with 33 black and hit it for $7.25. This was my first time playing roulette. I don't think anyone can doubt the power of the magic number. Before and since then, the number 33 has followed me everywhere I go. Here's your 33%.
This is great.
As an aside, have you ever heard of the author Robert Anton Wilson? He was a colleague of Timothy Leary, and I believe the work of the concept of reality tunnels explains the dimension A, B, and C paradigm that we live in today. Not sure where I heard the term reality tunnel could have been on the show. If you have not read any of Raw's work, I suggest his nonfiction description of Leary's model of human consciousness as an 8-circuit computer octal, titled Prometheus Rising. And if you want a page-turning fiction ride, then there's an infamous Illuminatus trilogy that is an absolute pleasure to read. I've read Professor Ted's Industrial Society and Its Future, and I agree some points of his, but I prefer to believe that Raw and Leary hope for which is a mass enlightenment that will bring people out of the muck of domesticated primate this is hard to read, by the way.
Yeah.
Primate logic to a place of being
a master
of your own universe. Message to the producers: please don't put your savings on 33 black at your local casino. Well, maybe they should.
Yeah, it sounds like it worked out pretty well.
33, that's a magic number. It's the magic number.
You've got karma.
Thank you so much.
It's funny how some text is just hard. I mean, I read cold, so it's always going to be up in the air. But it's funny how some text is extremely hard to read, and I'm not sure I could look at this piece of work.
Well, I think if you just keep practicing, you'll be fine.
No, I'll never get that. I can never get that right. That one. Gary Fares, Phares, and 23456. I do not have an email from him, so we assume it's a no jingle, no karma thing. It's nothing in the note. Sir John, and I looked up under his last name. Sir Jonathan of the Double Bladed Paddle in Las Vegas, Nevada, 21012. Thanks for the sanity. I humbly request moving and jobs karma for my relocation to Las Vegas from St. Louis. It's nicer weather, that's for sure. It gets hot. And you bring chapstick. That's my advice. Las Vegas equals chapstick. As you read this, I will be somewhere west of Oklahoma City. He's driving, obviously. Or he's on a high-speed rail. Any suggestions for frequencies to monitor during the way or interesting sights to see? 73 is KEO0IHT. Sir Jonathan of the Double-Bladed Paddle, 73 is to you.
Yeah.
What, you have any suggestions for him?
First 73 is Kilo 5 Alpha Charlie Charlie. I'm not sure if he's talking about a VHF UHF network with repeaters that he wants to check into. I know there are networks, like we have the Saltgrass network in Texas. I would say if you have the 40-meter rig, this is going to sound weird to people. You got a 40-meter rig, then you should monitor 7290. And that's kind of fun to listen to. There's a lot of people that hang out there. But you have to be a little more clear as to what you're hauling in your rig. So, Jonathan, what kind of gear you got so we can help you out? We got plenty of dudes named Ben and who are hams who will gladly help. But we got to know what you're stacking.
Richard Plug is up next. $201.11 from Amersfoort.
Amersfoort, yes.
Yeah, Deutschland.
Netherlands.
Holland, Dutch.
Yes.
I may be this may be a strange request because I haven't heard anything like it in the 150 episodes or so that I've listened to. My smoking hot wife, Maria, and I are going through a very rough patch right now. I will leave out the details, but please make it known that I love her and I will do anything in my might to make us happy as we were on our wedding day, as happy. Listening to you guys keeps me sane in a time when I need it the most. Therefore, please take this pittance and in return grant me a double dose of relationship goat karma, a Trump bing bing bong song. My wife loves that. And a de-douching. Thank you for the sanity you provide during my long commutes. Now, hold on. What is different about this that makes it something he's never heard in 150 episodes?
I'm not sure.
This has happened before.
What's happened before?
Well, the guy's looking for some relationship karma and get his act together and with his lovely wife, and it's not new.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
I read this one coming in, and I'm not sure exactly what we can do. And I'm looking for is it ding ding bing bing bong?
It's just a bing bong bing bing bong bong.
Yeah, it's an end of show song.
Well, there's a shorter version somewhere that we used on the show where he just says bing bing bong. It's not put the
Bing,
music.
bing, bong, bong, bing, bing.
Yeah, that.
You've got karma.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing.
Jobs.
I'm giving him everything.
Jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing.
Okay. I hope that works.
Well, he needs a de-douching.
And a de-douching as well? Okay.
You've been de-douched.
All right, there you go.
Night of the Blue Water area in Algonac, Michigan, 200. This probably got some pronunciation issue there. Night of the Blue Water area here, requesting jobs karma for an upcoming job interview.
All right, good luck with that.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And those are our executive producers and associate executive producers for show 1123, part of a Fibonacci sequence. And it turned out to be a pretty good day for us insofar as the Fibonacci is concerned. We're glad one of our Tim W. came up and spotted that in advance of the newsletter and alerted me to this Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice to have the random number sequence with our club members, 1123 club members for Chuck, who will be knighted today, along with the Viscount of Marin. So fantastic! Whoa, are you making noise?
Nope.
Oh.
You blacked out, and I didn't do anything.
I blacked out, man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Thanks for waking me up, John. All right. Thank you to all of our executive producers, our 2 club members, and our associate executive producers. This is exactly how it's supposed to work, and we highly appreciate your support of the work. Please continue to support us at Dvorak.org/NA. We'll have more people to thank, $50 and above, in our second donation segment.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Well, you've got all you need to know when it comes to, I don't know, deconstructing the Mueller report up until here. Why don't you go out and propagate?
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
All right. Oh, we got some, our producers. So you mentioned the Fibonacci numbers. Our producers are some interesting people. I played this Madam Secretary clip on the previous show, which had some FEMA numbers in here, which were really unbelievable, about Typhoon Blessing.
Typhoon Blessing is a freak. It's the most powerful ever 2 months before the official start of typhoon season. Set off alarm bells within the scientific community, so we went looking. This was taken above the monsoon trough by our new GOES-18 satellite. Maps are like rashes. If it's big, if it's red, it's probably bad.
Yeah, I'm getting hives just looking at it.
Here's a patch of superheated ocean. Rising temperatures are outpacing even our worst-case models, so tropical cyclogenesis is going to get more frequent, more destructive.
So blessing isn't a freak, it's the new normal.
Well, there was a time when we couldn't link specific stories.
Shoot, is this the wrong one? I think it's the wrong clip. I think I wanted.
No, this is the one you played yesterday.
Well, I had three of them. I had three of them, but I'm not hearing the. Well, let's see if it's in
climate
here.
change, but that time is
Yeah,
past.
cyclogenesis in there.
Which brings us to Nauru.
No. I think it's this one I wanted.
I mean, have you seen these FEMA numbers?
This is what I want.
250 mile an hour winds are going to destroy 95% of single family dwellings with the force of 20,000 Hiroshimas.
Not to mention.
That's what it was. The force of 20,000 Hiroshimas. By the way, that's now just a verb. Hiroshimas. It's not Hiroshima bombs. It's just Hiroshimas. So the first note comes from J42. Enjoyed the show as usual. The segment you did on Madam Secretary's show and the hurricane BS tickled my engineer brain, so I took to the webs to check some numbers. About 5 minutes worth of clicking later, I came up with these. And anyway, so he has all these calculations, and based upon the kilotons of TNT, the little boy atomic bomb, exactly how much TNT that was, and then the kinetic energy of hurricanes.
TNT equivalency.
Equivalency, yes. Using NOAA's calculations based on hurricanes from 81 to 99, a typical hurricane releases between 4 and 6 orders of magnitude, depending on calculation method, or put another way, between 10,000 and 1 million times more energy than Little Boy did. So, a hurricane that released 20,000 times more energy than Hiroshima would be a fairly typical storm. I'm not sure what, if any, conclusions to draw from this, other than as usual, TV and Al Gore don't seem to be bothered to do any actual research before throwing around the facts. So that was the first one. Then we got a note from Eric, and he actually supplied a nice little JPEG with all of his calculations. He says, this Hiroshima atomic bomb global warming meme keeps coming up, so I finally got curious enough to do some back-of-the-napkin calculations. I love how these guys say that. They got like crazy symbols I've never seen before in my life. I'm not a meteorologist, and I'm not an expert on this, but I'm a chemical engineer, so I do have some standing in these types of calcs. See attached screenshot for what I come up with. Hopefully my annotations make enough sense. Basically, Al Gore is full of crap, and by his fear-mongering estimates, we would be increasing 2 to 3 degrees Celsius per year. That's the 400 or 500,000 Hiroshimas. Curiously, the estimate on Madam Secretary of 20,000 Hiroshimas per day fits perfectly with the IPCC estimate of 1.5 degrees Celsius in 12 years. Seems like too much of a coincidence to me.
He shakes our nerves and he rattles our brains. Too much of carbon drives us all insane. We'll be submerged, but that's absurd. Goodness gracious, Al Gore's a liar. A carbon tax, and he thought it was funny. He came along because he wanted our money. Get in line, just pay the fine. Goodness gracious, Al Gore's a liar.
Full version at the end of the show. That's Jesse Coy Nelson. Yeah, so how about that? The 20,000 Hiroshimas a day is kind of an average storm. And if you had that every single day, then you would get to your 1.2 degrees Celsius increase over 12 years. Good work, Lear Foundation.
Yeah, there was somebody there. They had their
somebody did the work. Yeah, somebody
did the
same
work. Calculation our guy did.
Yeah,
and they said, "Wait, this Al Gore number, we can't use it because I'm sure at the beginning of their script
they had 500,000. I'm sure they did. Yeah,
they're going to drop to 500,000, and then somebody said, you want to back off on that.
Yeah,
number.
just a little bit. Yeah, yes,
and they nailed the right number.
Exactly.
That's funny. Well, I caught something I think is going to. You had one earlier, the end of the beginning. Catchphrase. I haven't. This is one I think I might be early on, but I think you're going to be able to pick up on it. There's this. This was from. I had this for the last show, and I forgot to run it. This is the illegal voters clip, and what this is Nancy Pelosi. The Democrats would like to make it so illegal aliens who have been changing their names from, illegal aliens to undocumented, whatever it is.
To dreamers.
They want them to be able to vote in California
sure.
and every place else.
At 16.
So they can get What? Sorry?
Vote and at 16. Just vote anytime.
Oh,
Come
yeah,
on in.
vote 16.
When you're 16 and you're illegal. You're 16
So
and
they think it's
illegal.
fine. Yeah, no, let's let these people vote. They're living here, so they might as well have some input. But there's a cute little change of
term
of nomenclature. You'll catch it.
So is the left trying to protect voter rights, or are they just looking for ways to add names to Democrats? Democrats are pushing a bill that would grant voting rights to illegal immigrants ahead of the 2020 election.
When we talk about newcomers, we have to recognize the constant reinvigoration of America that they are, and these newcomers make America more American, and that means not suppressing the vote of our newcomers to America.
Gee, could it be newcomers? Is that the new term?
I was wondering if you could catch that.
Isn't that something that from the movie V or from the series V? Didn't they call them the newcomers or the newlings or the newbies? Let's just call them the
possible.
We'll
I
just
don't know.
call
Somebody out there who is a fan of that show would know.
We should just call them the newbies.
Newbies.
Hey, you a
That would
newbie?
be next.
You a newbie?
So they've gone from illegal alien to undocumented worker, always worker, by the way, or undocumented citizen. Maybe they use that.
Oh,
one
they
as
were
well, to
They were
newcomers.
in V. They were visitors. I'm sorry, they were visitors.
Okay.
That could
Well,
be
I'm surprised
next.
They don't use that.
That could be next.
But this newcomers thing, I mean, does she really think that that's going to fool anybody?
Yes, because I'm going to use newbies. I'm just
Newbies.
taking it. I'm taking it from her. Hey, newbie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course she thinks that's going to work. Right after they get rid of the Electoral College.
Yeah. Another pipe dream.
Well, there's an interesting.
The media is behind it. You've read my essay, which
we didn't bring this up, and I would like to bring it up now since you wrote this essay 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And you already predicted you are from the future. And by the way, it's on the Cosmic Weenie server, so we know it's from the future. It was written in the future. And you predicted the demise of the Electoral College. Well, maybe not the demise, but that this would be something they wanted to get rid of. And your assertion, and it's a show assertion over the years, has become a show assertion, is because the big states like California, who really, there's no reason to spend any advertising money there because it's always the Democrats who win.
Yeah. So you got to spread out the dough. My thinking's got nothing to do with the reasons for getting rid of the Electoral College. My reason has always been the same reason that they were never going to do campaign finance reform, because who gets the money when there's like $1 billion goes into a campaign? Who eventually gets that money?
Well, the
eventual target for the money is the media. CBS gets the money. ABC gets the money. New York Times gets the money.
If you look at what is it? Is it Broadcast Magazine? No, not Broadcast Magazine. What's the Advertising Age? If you look at Advertising Age, their biggest addition is when they have the numbers on political spend, and it's all that it's about is who's spending money, which consultants have the money, because that's how it works. All these consultants. They actually get a piece of the media buy. They're incentivized to spend more on media because they get a piece of the action the way the advertising agencies used to, or probably still do,
15%
with the media placement. Yeah. So it's a bonanza. And
it's a bonanza. So the media is not going to get on board ever for campaign finance reform.
No.
Because why don't you just shoot yourself in the foot? You don't have enough money as it is, the way you see it.
Mm-hmm.
So the media is not going to do anything. And people who are stupid enough to write editorials that the campaign finance reform is important usually get fired from that media outlet because it's a dumb thing to say. Now, the same with the Electoral College. This is not about holding on to the money you're getting or increasing the amount of money you're getting. It's not about holding on. It's about increasing, and you can increase the amount of money you're getting by opening up some new markets. California got no spend whatsoever from the Trump campaign because it was money wasted.
Yeah.
So they would get no money. I never saw a Trump for president ad during the entire campaign. It just didn't happen because why would you run a Trump for president campaign? They're not going to get these electoral votes. So they just gave up on it. And in fact, the 4 million differential, it was over 4 million differential in California Hillary over Trump, that accounted for the popular vote. The popular vote was less. The popular vote of Hillary, that the amount over to what Trump got, was less than what California delivered to her because Trump did not put any effort into California whatsoever, including advertising, or he tried to show up to a couple of events. He was shouted down. So he just said, screw California. So he never did anything. So, and that accounts for all this popular vote nonsense. If there was no electoral college, things would be different because they'd be spending money like crazy everywhere. Well, the media would clean up. This would be a bonanza.
Only in certain states. You'd only need about 9 states. You wouldn't need much else.
Yeah, but those are huge states, and they'd be spending a lot of money. They're still going to spend money in the other states. Yeah. They're not going to pull back. They're going to put more money in the campaign.
I'm surprised by people like Kamala Harris and Cory Booker who speak, and Elizabeth Warren, who speak so cavalierly of, it's got to go. And like, look, we're the United States of America, not the United Peoples of America. It's a constitutional republic. So, it's one thing it just doesn't make any sense what they're saying. And I don't think they really mean it. They don't really want the Electoral College gone, do they? They don't really want. I mean, the whole point of this is to stop the United States. The way we run our elections is so that it isn't just New York and California and Illinois and mainly Chicago who vote and determine everything. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. The couple of farmers, I'm just saying couple of farmers in Iowa, wherever they are, who feed the country, it's equalized to the Electoral College because they're important too. It's really the whole idea of intersectionality in voting is between the states is in this concept. And it's so cavalierly dismissed. I think also the college admission scandal has something to do with it. I believe that people are so inundated with media and they're so dense and it's like molasses syrupy shit in their heads that passes for brains. They hear cheating, college admission, electoral college. Yeah, we should get rid of that. I tell you that happens to people. They're so stupid.
I think we've concluded that for years.
Yeah, well, it's sad. What are you now? Excuse me. What are you doing?
I'm getting a lozenge. I'm getting it dry.
Okay. Well, can you announce that before you make that? I thought you were on fire.
Oh, look, the Zephyr just went by. What time is it?
I don't know. Hey, while you're looking at the time, I'm gonna go down under. A special guest showed up in New Zealand, although not showing up at the mosque, not showing up to pay any respects, really just to play some golf. And there's a kicker at the end of this clip.
Speculation is rife that former US President Barack Obama is set to touch down in New Zealand this evening. Much of Barack Obama's whirlwind visit this week is shrouded in secrecy. There are reports the former US president will arrive in Auckland or in the Upper North Island by private jet this evening. While here, Obama is set to play 2 rounds of golf with Sir John Key at a secret location in Northland. One option, deemed fit for a president, is the world-class course in Caldy Cliffs at Mataldi Bay. Obama's plans on Thursday are far from secret, with his attendance expected at a porphyry at Government House and at an invite-only event in Auckland that night. He's due to leave for Australia on Friday. It's understood Obama's visit is being co-sponsored by Air New Zealand, Westpac and MasterCard.
Oh, man. The guy's got MasterCard flying around the world to play golf. That's nice. Well done, Barack. That's nice. And they announce it. No, I don't think so. And they announce it on the news. It's sponsored by MasterCard. This American president. I mean, sometimes it feels like we're living in, like Terminator. This American president proudly brought to you by MasterCard. Just as he was during the election.
Judge Dredd, where all restaurants are Taco Bell.
Precisely. Yeah, Barack Obama is presented by MasterCard. Don't leave home without it. Oh, wait, that's American Express. Yeah.
All right, so I have a couple of things here. I have a lot of clips called nutballs.
Let me guess. Are these is this the mom-daughter combo?
Yes.
The keeper pointed that out to me a few days ago, and at first I couldn't. I'm like, what is she playing the theremin? What is going on with this? Didn't it look like she's playing the theremin?
Well, they're both doing the same. With the daughter.
You got to explain this. You got to explain what's going on here.
There's these two McGillicuddy people.
Wait, McGillicuddy people? What does that mean?
Well, that's kind of their names. Let's get their names so I don't have the name written down. I should. Let me. I'm going to Google this like this.
You can get Bing it, hopefully.
I Bing it. Mom, daughter, nutball, YouTube. And then that's all I need to put in, I think, and I'll get it.
By the way, it was Demolition Man, not Judge Dredd.
Oh, I thought it was Judge Dredd. Oh, yeah. Demolition Man. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Troll Room.
Well, curious I didn't get these two on the simple search.
What are you looking for, man?
There's these two women. They run a... Well, here's the background on them. This will take care of it. Let's run the background first. Because I think WUSA or one of these stations picked up on this, and they did the bio and the background of the two. So this bio and background of the Nutball 2.
Hold on, I'm looking for it.
Bio, B-I-O.
Oh, it's up the top. I got it.
The daughter graduated from NYU and is a faith healer for horses. The mother, Lynn McGonigal, is the founder and teaching channel of the Lightworkers Healing Method. She was a
healing.
Yeah, she was a CPA at Price Waterhouse. That's how she first started out, where she was the controller with a $200 million manufacturing company, and she was a partner in another CPA accounting firm, but she left it all in order to train. Nope. She's invested 23 years in training with higher dimension avatars.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is this show that I'm listening to?
This is one of those morning, right-wing morning shows.
Oh, wow. Oh, really? Oh, wow. Show. I want that job. Oh, wow.
She has worked with thousands of clients in this, and she's taught up unique and powerfully angelically guided energy healing art through a progressive series of experiential weekend workshops at various locations.
That's true.
But here's the thing. You might be able to catch her locally. She has something called the Angelic Initiative.
What?
It's an all-volunteer organization. They are on a mission to trigger the awakening now. That's in capital letters.
I don't even understand anything you've said so far.
Now you know how I feel when millennials talk.
That's true.
We conduct angelically guided, multidimensional energy healing sessions in Washington, D.C. to heal the root causes of warfare and trigger the awakening whose time has surely come. And they are in the process of compiling footage of their work in the Capitol.
Okay, let me just understand. So it is a mother-daughter combo, I'm led to believe. Yep. And they are trying to heal the energy of the swamp, and by awakening people to the war and everything, and to heal them, so to stop it. Is this kind of the idea?
Yeah, it doesn't. When you listen to them, it doesn't seem to be what they're about.
Oh.
And in fact, I'll put the one clip I want to start with, and they're all fairly short, except this one's the longest. This is Nutball 00, 2 nuts on population control.
Extreme biohazard. Data from the deeper, denser dimensions. And so it is an extreme biohazard to make justifications for parasitism. That's true. It isn't okay. Friends, we have enough humans on the planet. We don't need any more humans. It is not okay for women to have babies and stop contributing to the process under the pretense that they're doing a good thing by staying home and raising children. We don't need children. If you find yourself pregnant, there are options, and you can have an abortion. No babies. Cut off the baby factories. We have 7.5 billion with a B humans on the planet. That's too much. The actual ideal amount seems to be under 1 billion. That's under true. 1 billion. We have 7.5 billion. No babies. Women who have babies and stay home to raise them should not be viewed as doing a good thing. That's not a good thing. It's completely not what the situation calls for at all. I'm sorry. Find another way to contribute and be valued. That's not a good way. I'm sorry.
Do they have a GoFundMe or a Patreon that I can contribute to?
They don't need it. They make a lot of money.
They do?
So,
how do they make money?
I believe so. If you check her out, she does a lot of healing things, and she's in Washington, D.C., making a fortune.
Okay.
Now, the lifting of the two of them have their arms in the air, but the younger one, who's obviously the mom hates, she had a baby, obviously, this girl, and the girl can't even say anything except that's true, that's true, that's true. In fact, I even isolated. I got an ISO of it. That's true, and you could throw it into our. You can play the ISO.
This one, yes.
That's true.
That's all she. So she's like Diamond and Silk. That's all she does.
That's true.
She says that's true.
That's true.
Now, she does say stuff once in a while, and when she says something, I'd say 90% of the time the old lady shuts her down and says no, and tells her no. And this was during a moment where she explained the arm in the air thing. What she's doing is she's pulling the strands of imaginary strands of anger and fatigue and every bad thing that you have, you're pulling it out of your body and you're holding it into the air and throwing it away. And so she's doing that constantly. And the old lady does it once in a while too. And when the daughter explained this, the old lady, the daughter says, I invite, you can all do this yourself. You can pull the fatigue and frustrations and the things about life out of your body and throw them in the air. And the old lady says, no, you can't. It's too late for them.
No.
And then shuts her down and makes her just continue with her. That's true. That's true. But it's this, and she obviously hates the daughter and doesn't want her to have babies, or she wouldn't go on and on about this. We have to stop having babies, and which seems to be what they're mostly about, except for the fact that they talk to the plants and the shrubs and the trees. But let's play this clip, which is another one. And I try to get that number out of them, which is the classic 500 million people max you should have on
the Georgia Guidestones number, 500,000 people.
The Georgia Guidestones. So
Yeah.
here I found it, and my daughter was giving me grief for I listened to many, many, many of these, and I found this one. This is a classic on one of their shows. This is this one is the 2 nuts on mosquitoes.
We're faced with this Hobson's choice of, as a collective, deciding to live gentler on the land. That's true. Not being so poisonous, like letting the mosquitoes flourish so that the birds can flourish, so that the mammals can flourish, so that all life can flourish. That's true. Or just having fewer of us so that we can live in our destructive way that we so love and the collective still survive. That's true. And really, we think that would be the gentler choice, somebody is saying. Yeah, that it would be gentler to simply reduce the numbers back to that which is sustainable. And probably it's 500 million because there's disagreement over 500 million or 2 billion. Yeah, that's true. And usually that means it's the more inconvenient answer, the less convenient answer that's actually true, and that we're just having a hard time coming to grips with it. So probably that's what's going on. That's true.
This is some next level Illuminati shit you're bringing to the table, John.
My God, for 25 years, they've been growing babies in cows.
That's true.
That's true.
That's
now,
true.
this is another. So I got that's pretty much their thesis about things. Now I want to play. I have 2 more short clips of them. I have other. Do
you have a conclusion about this, or are you taking me somewhere with this on this journey?
Yeah, this is the conclusion I'm drawing. This is a modern Democrat.
That's true. I need that. I need that thing. Hold on. Now I need it all the time.
That's true.
That's true. I got to put this in somewhere. I need this. Yeah.
This is the modern Democrat. And this is the same thing about the no, don't have babies. AOC pushed that.
Yeah,
all
okay,
these
I'm
people
with
that
you.
are Beto people, all these guys, they're all talking about the same kind of thing as these guys.
That's true.
Now this one here is not quite a Beto O'Rourke clip, but I just think it's funny because there is a great little ISO in here, which I put as the ISO. Yes, yes, yes. But this is the nutballs. 2 nuts on how we agreed to life. Now, this is what she's channeling this from some beings in different dimensions. And she says, before we were born, we've already agreed to the terms of our life, and we have to stay with it.
That's true. Occurred before birth. It's a very long process, and once you're in the life, you don't get to change. That's true. That's not how the system works. You said you would do it. You signed. They said, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" At least 3 times. We said, "Yes, yes, yes." And now it's time to do it. Now it's just time. It's go time. It's do it time. And the entire life, the entire sentience is go time and do it time. That's true. For all of us in all dimensions, no exceptions. Amen. That's true. We said, yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
It's gold to me. Now, I got the last one. This one go back to the political, the Democrat style of how, this is the way the Democrats see things. You know, and you bring the Nazis. She brings the Nazis in. She does all the stuff that everyone's doing. The AOC in particular, that whole Justice Democrat group. And this is the nutballs. It says 2 posing. I don't know. It says POSIING, the Earth.
I got it.
We're killing our planet. That's true.
Killing the planet.
It's true.
On all of our records. It's time to speak up. What are we waiting for? This is so much the same pattern as what played out in Germany during World War II. And not just Germany, but Germany and the surrounding countries. That's true. This is what played out, where during the Nazi era, a great wrong was being done. And in hindsight, we can all see that that was a great wrong. That's true. But the people who were carrying it out did not see that it was a great wrong or ignored that it was a great wrong. That's true. And the people who didn't speak up were participatory in the process because they weren't speaking up. And this same thing is happening here. That's true. This species has stolen a biosphere and is in the midst of the great species extinction and die-off. We're slaughtering all other life. That's true.
Fact check. True.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
All right. So this is your modern Democrat. And they're making a lot of money, you say?
I believe they are. Now, the other examples of modern Democrats are different. And I have 2 more clips which don't involve these 2. But by the way, I recommend anyone to dig these 2 up and you could watch. This is the most entertaining. They've already done over 1,000 podcasts, video podcasts with their arms in the air and swinging around. The other thing that's going on, again, Democrats, this Mary Magdalene thing, which I have yet to deconstruct or understand why Mary Magdalene is such a big deal. And there's a bunch of people online. YouTube is fabulous for this, by the way, and I use that word cautiously. For these channelers. And I don't have long clips of these channelers, but you can get a kind of an idea of how it works. This is one of them. This is Nutballs contacting Mary.
All right, message from Mary. I cannot wait for this. I can't wait. I can't wait. Okay. All right, I'm just relaxing my shoulders, closing my eyes, and letting my attention, my focus, go deep within my heart space. I'm not leaving me. I'm not going out of body. I'm connecting with another band of light, literally, like we said, with the invisible spectrum of light and the visible spectrum of light, that Mary consciousness is like another layer of it that we really all can access, we all can feel connected to and personally a part of. So I'm not going outside of myself, I'm not disconnecting from my higher self. What I'm doing is inviting the consciousness of Mary Magdalene into the library, the God consciousness that I'm connecting with as Jill in my human. So I'm like the broadcaster for a signal that's much, much broader than just what we look at as one soul. We're so much more than that, you guys. That was the dark age.
That was the dark age.
Yeah, I'm not really against this kind of new age stuff. You know, I don't really care.
Yeah, I know, you're kind of into it, actually.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, you're taking a long time here to make a lot of women seem stupid.
I'm recognizing just what it is. This is the modern Democrat Party.
That's true.
Now, I had the last clip, which is this one. This is Sarah Larson. That was Jill something or other. This is a doc. She calls herself doctor. I only played the very first of this one because she goes on and on with key codes and bringing different people in. But I want you to just listen to this and imagine that woman in the green screaming out, no, after Trump was elected. And, these are all the same people.
Okay. I see where you're going. This is like crazy snowflakes going nuts. These are enlarged amygdalas.
They're a little more. I can't say they're going nuts. It's just strange to me. It is strange to me, and especially I do not get the Mary Magdalene connection. What is it about her?
Oh, I know. It's easy. She could have children without a man.
No, but that's Mary. That's not Mary Magdalene.
Oh, Mary Magdalene. Oh no, I don't know what that connection is. It's spiritual, man.
If we could just open our hands to open our feeling nature, our divine knowing, and open to the first key code to anchor this space in preparation for the Mary Magdalene transmission. And that would be key code 1, she of 1,000 names. We welcome in Isis.
What?
Isis.
So how did Isis is, of course, the female goddess of, what is it, sun, strong, strength, something?
Yeah, we lose track of these things.
She
She
that's
gets Isis and then somebody else and somebody else. I think 5 is finally Mary Magdalene. Then she brings a 6th person in with
the
a key code number 6. And then she starts singing and wailing. This is the Democrat Party.
Well,
this is the people that are responsible for the ruination of Seattle, people crapping on the streets and everything else. I don't think this is a minority of people. There are like tens of thousands of aficionados of these folk. You're looking for something other than the misery they have on a day-to-day basis. They don't want to have babies. They're like AOC. They're being manipulated by other people. I mean, this is, to me, I just think I for a moment tapped into this, and I extract myself.
Well, yes,
stepping backwards slowly.
Yes. I do want to know that you're okay after pursuing this.
Yeah, I didn't. As far as I got was just like, this is too nuts for me.
Well, I think it's definitely you may be onto something here. I'd like to see some of these people sitting on the council or somewhere in office where they're doing this. That would make me feel much better about the connection with the new Democrat Party. But for sure, we need to find out the Mary Magdalene, who was a whore, correct? Mary Magdalene was a whore. No?
Well, that would be the bad. That would be like
the bad interpretation
definition.
But it seems like these are people struggling who need a belief in something. And this is where religion has come in for hundreds of millions, billions of people. They have religion, and this seems to be some kind of odd hybrid nature religion thing.
Yeah, pantheism might be the word for it. The two women, the mom and daughter act, they seem to be pantheists because I have a whole series of clips where she's talking to the grass and the trees and somehow talks to the dead trees and shames the living trees into blaming them for the dead trees. And it goes on and on like that.
We're going to have to cut you off from YouTube for a little while, John. This is clear.
She said, yes. That's true.
Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew.
That's true.
Here's the story of a bunch of snowflakes who were trampling on some other people's rights. All of them lived at home with their mother. They wanted to start fights.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda. In the morning.
Yeah, we do have some people to thank for our Fibonacci show, 1123. Starting with Viscount Sir Donald Borowski in Spokane Valley. Hold on. He did send it up.
Wow, man. All right. So you really, for Sunday's show, you really got to do something about the chair. It's off the hook now.
Okay.
Just a little bit of ranch hand or WD-40, especially when you went to get something. That was like, maybe you should join those women and try that chair noise on them. Maybe they'll like that. You know, you can channel something.
Yeah. Okay. Here's Borowski didn't really send this, and he's usually sending stuff on official letterhead, but he did send something interesting enough that I want to read. He is of course, the Viscount of Eastern Washington. A few weeks ago, there was a question of quantum computing. Yes. He sent in a very interesting article, and people can look it up. It's on the IEEE spectrum on quantum computing. And just to summarize the article, quantum computing is bull crap. Just want to mention that.
Okay, thanks.
Martin McIntyre and by the way, Borowski was in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Martin McIntyre in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, $100.38.
And he has a douchebag call out to Doug J. from South Philly. Douchebag. 10 years he's been listening, never donated. All right, Martin, thanks for pointing that out.
Hilya Diosarin, I guess. I don't know. $100.33. He needs a job. Karma will give you that at the end. Just take the jobs, Karma. Ian Field, 100. Knight of the Vector Realm, our buddy. No jingles needed, obviously. You're not going to get one anyway. At 8888. That's a great donation. Sir Greg of Parts Unknown, 8008. Christopher Harabarak. I guess you don't pronounce the C at the beginning. In Pickering, Ontario. The C is silent. I wonder what kind of a name that is. Thomas Miller, 7378 Naperville, Illinois.
7378.
7378. Keep up the great work, he says. John Fletcher. Hey, Fletcher. 6969 in Hughes Springs, Texas. He says, in the morning and such. Could you please say on the air? So we have to do this for Fletcher.
Oh, he has his own podcast. Okay.
Tune in to the Hog Story. Oh, no. Tune in to Hog Story, the trendiest podcast in the universe, hosted by John Fletcher and Carolyn Blaney. Monday night at 7 Central. Go to Hog Story.
Now.
And leave a voicemail at 430-201-4841.
Let me try this. Tune in to Hog Story. Hog Story. The trendiest podcast in the universe. Hosted by John Fletcher and Carolyn Blaney. Monday night at 7 p.m. Central. Go to hogstory.net. Leave a voicemail at 430-201-4841. Hog Story. Hog Story. That's how you do it, Jingle.
Hog Story.
That's how you do it.
Hog Story.
Yeah, and I don't try to pile on, man. I did it right. Thanks, Fletch.
Vossler, 6878. Another one in red here. Psycho and Dummy. Oh, yeah, this guy. I knew somebody would come out of the woodwork. I guess we do have a few people that go to or went to UCLA when I condemned them.
Oh, okay. So now we're Psycho and Dummy?
I still need a de-douching since you superior Berkeley Bears forgot to de-douche me last time I donated.
I'll give him the de-douching, but I have nothing to do with this. I didn't disparage anyone at UCLA.
Well, you can give him a de-douching anyway.
You've been de-douched.
Okay. That's Vossler.
All right, Vossler.
UCLA. John Boyd, 6877.
Wait, here's Psycho and Dummy UCLA guy number 2.
Buddy. He's the other guy.
Yeah,
he's UCLA. My counterpart, Psycho and Dummy UCLA guy number 1, Nicholas, decided to donate a joint $137.55 in 2 separate donations as an homage to a petty war between Cal and UCLA. The 55 cents for the amount of titles Cal has, and the 137 represents the amount of UCLA titles we'll have by the end of the year. Okay, he says, although you're probably correct, we do have more dummies. Your smart people are so influenced by the MSM world that they are influencing our dummies. Okay. Boom, he goes.
Hey, I think you and these UCLA guys and those two women, I think y'all should have a meetup in California. Yeah. And then
it's true.
And you should get some energy work going because I think y'all could use that.
It's true. Bobby Curiel in Pahala, Hawaii. 5813
calls for a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Sir Midnight of the Rivers in Gulf Breeze, Florida.
Now these are actually all,
these are. I'm going to read these one after another. This is the Fibonacci request.
Yeah. Explain how this worked, because 1123, the next numbers in the Fibonacci sequence of Fibonacci numbers is 5813. Is that what it was?
Well, no, it would be 5. I think 1 3 something. Fibonacci is the way it works. We have 0 1 1 2 3, and every number after that is the and then 5, and then 8,
then 13,
and then what you do with a Fibonacci is you start with 0 1. Those are the first two numbers. So the next number would be the addition of those two numbers, which is 1, and then you add the numbers before the next number, so it's 1 plus 1, you get 2. Then you get 2 plus 1 is 3. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. And then 5 plus 3 is 8. And it goes on, it starts to increase. And that's what how the sequence works. And this is where it was just cut off.
Okay, so because it's 1 1 2 3, then 5 8 1 3. Got it. Okay, makes total sense.
Okay, here's the people, name and location for the 5813 donations, which helped our show quite a bit. Magic. It's magic. ISIS. Sir Midnight of the Rivers in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Nathan Lee Miller Foster in Boston, Massachusetts. Matthew Davis in Blackwood, New Jersey. Brian Ward. Brad Doherty in Yardley, Pennsylvania. Sir Whoop That Ass. Parts unknown. Cheryl Coppola in New Haven, Connecticut. John Aiken. Anders Edqvist. Tony Tanzi. Paul Den Briegen. Eileen, and in Holland.
I think it's Paul Den Breyen. I think it would be Breyen.
Breyen. Eileen Soar. Well, that's an interesting pronunciation. Parts unknown. Corwin Underwood. Robert, and he's in Hamilton, Ohio. Robert Marsh, parts unknown. Ted Creamer in Scotts Valley. Radu Pertuk, parts unknown in Stowe, Vermont. Tim White, Gary Howell, Sir Ray Jacobson, he's in Ashland, Virginia. Daniel Hollinsworth, Gregory Lewis, Sir Mike Kleckner, KD2, FDX 73, New Jersey. And by the way, he's down to this. That's the end of our list. Sir Mike Kleckner is in Ewing, New Jersey, and donated $54.67. Clay Alchemist, 5332. Mary, just plain Mary in Burlingame, and she did send a note in, a very nice little card actually, and it was very nice card. You only used my first name. I would have wished my friend Kyle we got the birthday on the list. Thank you for keeping me company on my frequent drives to Southern California. I would love to meet John at a Peninsula meetup one day. We'll do a Peninsula meetup one day, or in Southern California. And then the following people are $50 donors. Just name and location if we have them. Ann Cook, 50.
Well, hold on. Hold on 1 second. Ann does need procreation karma. We'll give that to her at the end. Also, call out my hubby Matt as a douchebag. Does that help with the procreation karma? By calling your man out as a douchebag? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know how that works out. Daniel Mayak, 50. Alexa Delgado in Aptos. Sir Ryan Thomas of Muslims for Trump in Austin, Texas.
Huh.
He's got a birthday. We do have it on the list.
Yes.
Michael Kaufman in Hillsboro, Oregon. Kenneth Lindbergh in Miami, Florida. Julian Robbins in Aptos, California. Sir Patrick Maycom in New York City. And last but not least, Baron Sir Alan Bean in Oakland, California. I want to thank all these folks for supporting us and making show 1123, the Fibonacci show, possible.
Yes, and Sir Ryan Thomas of Muslims for Trump. Let's have a coffee. I'd like to learn. Man, not so much about Trump. I'd like to learn about the Muslims for Trump. and maybe some Muslim stuff in general. I feel woefully inadequate in my Islam and Muslim training and background. And if you're in Austin, that sounds good. All right. An interesting mix today. Very different types of donations, different people coming in, people asking for dedouchings, meaning they're new. That's great to see. We have more under $50. We leave those out specifically. $50 is the cutoff. A lot of people like to donate. In fact, I see a couple here, $49.99. That's specifically so that they're kept anonymous, and that's understandable in some cases. But look at this list. We got some great executive producers, associate executive producers. Also, thank you to people under 50 who are on our subscription list. It's highly appreciated. It keeps everything going. And I've got some jobs karma for the people who need it, some human resource karma, and a reminder to check us out on the Sunday show. We sometimes do something fun, and you can support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's a birthday.
And the month is moving along just swimmingly. The 24th of March, 2019. Birthdays for today. Mary says happy birthday to her friend Kyle. He turns 34 on the 28th. Well in time for that, Mary. Dude named Ben Onimus says happy birthday to his son. Dude named Alex. He turned 33 on the 21st. We say happy birthday. Sir Ryan Thomas will be turning 30 today. And Lorraine Radcliffe, she celebrated on March 22nd. Happy birthday from everybody here at the No Agenda Podcast.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. That's changes. Don't want to be a douchebag.
Two title changes today, Sir Chase McCarthy ups the ante, becomes Baron at Large, and that is thanks to another total of $1,000 extra donated to the show. And Sir Roger Boots becomes the Viscount of Marin. Congratulations to both of you. And we do have one knighting to take care of, so I shall get out my blade. Put down the recorder. Get your...
I got it.
Yes, there it is. Okay. Chuck Oberfrank. Step on up, Chuck. Thank you very much for your contribution, the amount of $1,000 or more to the best podcast in the universe. That gives you a coveted seat at the round table, which is pretty big these days with all of our knights and dames. And, of course, I pronounce the K, the Sir Chuck, the Oracle of Oswego. For you, my friend, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay. We got cookies and vodka, warm beer and cold women, taquitos and taquilla, single malt scotch, early times and BF4. We got Horsehead Pumpkin Ale. We got Harlots and Haldol, pepperoni rolls and pale ale, geishas and sake, vodka and vanilla, bong hits and bourbon, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, breast milk and pablum, and mutton and mead. It's all ready for you at noagendanation.com/rings. Give your info to Eric the Shill. He'll get that off to you as soon as humanely possible. And remember to tweet it out and let us know. And for all of you new executive producers, associate executive producers, also consider putting those credits into your resume or right there on LinkedIn, Twitter handle. Display it loud and proud. That is also a part of hitting people in the mouth when they ask you, what the hell is going on? What is that about? Let them know.
What are you doing there with that thing there, Baron? Baron or what?
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
It's true. All right. Let me see.
I got something that's been bugging me.
All right.
It's this thing, about this battle. I partly blame Trump for this, but he continues a never-ending battle with the dead John McCain.
Yes, I would say. I think it's poor form to keep doing. Everyone I hear is like, could we just stop with the McCain thing?
And then, of course, now HBO's got a special coming out with McCain, and there's a bunch of tweets. I saw this tweet. There's a picture of McCain. This is interesting. I didn't know this, but McCain, there's a picture of McCain before he got captured with his first wife, who's a pretty blonde. I mean, she's very bubbly looking and just dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets captured and comes back from Vietnam, proposes to a woman 18 years younger than her while still married, and then divorces her. And it just seems like a douchebaggy thing to do, and people are calling him that. But so here's the Trump So here's the Trump recent complaining on this is a CBS clip, Trump versus McCain. And I want to just at least remind people of where we stand on this, because we have another clip, which I requested from Adam to play, which is the Pachenik roundup of John McCain, who's just not the greatest guy in the world.
So we're going to play the CBS clip first?
Yeah, please. This is the never-ending. I don't know why Trump can't stop doing this, but he keeps doing it.
President Trump today visited a tank factory and let loose with a long new volley against the late John McCain. Some fellow Republicans have taken note and are not pleased about a dispute that has only grown more bitter. Major Garrett has more on this.
I've never liked him much. Hasn't been for me.
In Ohio today, President Trump tried to explain the inexplicable, a running feud with revered Republican Senator John McCain, who has been dead for 7 months.
McCain didn't get the job done for our great vets.
As if to justify the attacks that have rankled top Republicans, Mr. Trump repeatedly faulted McCain on policy.
The other thing is we're in a war in the Middle East that McCain pushed so hard. When he finally had the chance to do it, he voted against repeal and replace.
And this.
And I gave him the kind of funeral that he wanted, which as president I had to approve. I don't care about this. I didn't get thank you.
Earlier in the day, McCain's daughter Megan, a co-host of The View, said the attacks were bizarre.
He would think it was hilarious that our president was so jealous of him that he was dominating the news cycle in death as well.
Top Senate Republicans came to McCain's defense today.
Well, okay, I've looked at this at a distance, yeah.
But by the way, what did Trump mean when he says, I gave him a funeral that he wanted and I never got any thanks? Was he expecting thanks from McCain?
Yeah.
Who's dead?
Well, Trump is doing, first of all, he's doing something that you don't do. As we discussed, when no matter how big of a douchebag you've been, when you die in America, we all ultimately say, hey, man, thanks for being part of the American experience. Even though you're a douchebag, you dickhead, kind of everybody gets that, except, if you really were some egregious, very obvious type of horrible person. And McCain, he did a couple of things that really irked Trump to a very large degree. One is, I think we knew kind of in the beginning, he was the first, his office at least was the first to start distributing the Steele dossier, the PP stuff and the hookers and all that and the compromat. So he really started that. That's annoying. Then he really screwed up the healthcare deal. I'm not saying that wouldn't have been a great deal, but he screwed it up by voting down on the repeal and replace of Obamacare. He was the final holdout, trying to be some kind of hero towards everybody else. And, Trump is trying to point out, I think, something which is futile, because, again, when it's like, it doesn't matter. Nixon, Reagan, everybody, when they die, is like, oh, thanks, man. We don't disparage the dead. There's just something about it. And maybe it's because all he hears all day is Meghan McCain doing this.
My father, my father, my father's my father.
I mean,
my father, 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 my father's my father, my father, my father, my father.
Her career, I think, exists because of
my father, my father, my father, my father.
I mean, I have 3 minutes of this. It's just my father, my father, my father, my father. But if you ask any military person who is old enough, they will say they do not like John McCain. And so I don't know if this is Trump also virtue signaling towards the military, but it is. And as you requested, John, it's 4 minutes, so it's not short, but I think it is worthwhile playing Dr. Steve Pachenik's take on McCain, and Pachenik has a lot of extensive experience in military.
Hello.
I'm Dr. Pachenik. Today I want to talk to you about how false heroes are created in the name of honor and grandeur for our country. In particular, I'm talking about John McCain, who's unfortunately dying, but he had a history which really put a black mark on him in our American experience of Vietnam. And let me tell you what I think. I've never liked John McCain. I knew a lot about his history. I knew that he was a spoiled, entitled brat at Annapolis. His father was head of CPAC. His grandfather was a famous admiral. In turn, he was one of the lowest men in a class of 899 people at Annapolis. He should have been thrown out, but his father kept him in. His flying experience was erratic and dangerous. He crashed several planes and then crashed on the USS Forrestal, killing several Americans. What he is known for, though, is for having been shot down in a 29th bombing mission over Vietnam. He claims he was tortured and has fractured his hands and his face. That's not correct. He destroyed his arms and his face on the ejection. However, what happened as a POW is the case in point. I know several of the POWs who were in the Hanoi Hilton with him, and they found him despicable. They found him to be a coward, a traitor, and the fact that he refused to be released because it was considered bravery was nonsense. The reason he could not leave the prison in Vietnam was the simple fact that he would defy military order and would have been arrested for what he had done as a criminal, as a POW. In fact, the remaining part of his life is quite despicable and disgraceful. He was involved in the SNL scandals and Keating. Oh, yeah. He was corrupt, and he never had to go to prison for that. Then subsequently, he closed all of the POW records so nobody would know what kind of a treasonous individual he was. And then, very much like any sociopath, he decided that the best things to do for America is to go to war. Any war and all wars. So he invited the Iraq War, the war in Syria, the war in Libya, the war in Somalia, Sudan, and everywhere else. In fact, he killed more Americans than any other president I would have known of, even more than George W. Bush. Now, who testified for his veracity and the fact that he is going to be a new hero? The man who testified on his behalf is none other than another coward and treasonous military officer other than David Petraeus. Let me tell you about General David Petraeus, a man who lived right next to West Point, married the commandant's daughter. He was a very ambitious little man, received all kinds of accolades as a very smart individual, went to Princeton and forced his supervisor to give him a PhD in less than a year and a half. But what was it that made David Petraeus great? It was David Petraeus. He never really had been in combat, and in fact awarded himself some combat medals, which a lot of military officers said, we don't understand how we received it. More importantly, David Petraeus was caught for a major felony and a criminal act, passing over 5 notebooks with top secret information to a woman whom he seduced while he was director of the CIA. Normally, he would have been in prison for that for 10 to 15 years, but he got a little slap on his hand. So it's not an accident that David Petraeus agrees that John McCain, another coward and traitor, is a great man. Then the third man we're talking about is Bob Kerrey. Most of you don't know very much about him. He's a Democrat. He was a pharmacy student and came out of Nebraska. He did join the SEALs. He did go into Vietnam, and he was injured in Vietnam and received the Congressional Medal of Honor. He knew he should not have received the Congressional Medal of Honor because, unfortunately, his foot was shot off, and he knew it was just an accident in war. He hadn't done anything that was particularly heroic. He said it to his present days. He said, I don't deserve it. At the same time, he received the Bronze Star for having killed 22 innocent men, women, and children. So what's the moral of the story? John McCain doesn't ride any higher than Trump, who refused to serve in our Vietnam War. But those who accuse themselves of treachery. In French, we say, qui s'excuse s'accuse. And let me repeat one thing Ralph Waldo Emerson said, a brave man is an ordinary man who's only brave for 5 minutes more. Thank you, good night, and good luck.
Well, we got a little more than we bargained for there. But That I believe that to be a pretty accurate. I think he has some of his facts maybe a little bit off about crashing on the ship or blowing up on the ship. That's kind of irrelevant. But no, I think Trump is really irked about McCain, who was hated, absolutely hated by the Democrats until Trump came along. And then McCain took it. He took it and ran with it right to the grave to go down as a hero. And Trump can't stand it. But it's a very bad tree to be barking up, if you ask me. It just looks like shit because people don't understand this background. And they never will. It will never be the common truth. You're just I will always be, an ex-VJ. It's like these things, you give up on it, Trumpy. You just give up on it. It makes you look really petty.
But I thought we should set the record straight.
I agree.
I don't like to talk ill of the dead, but I'm not talking ill of the dead. It's Pachenik.
Yeah.
And telling it like it is what it amounts to. And so there you go. But yeah, that my dad clip was quite revealing.
Yeah, that's her whole career. My father, my father, my father, my father, my father, this, my father, that, my father, this, my father, that. Yep.
Yeah, they should get rid of her, but they won't.
No, they shouldn't get rid of her. I don't know. Let me see. I don't know if we need any real follow-up on the 737 MAX. There's a good note from Captain Jack in the show notes if you want to take a look at that. But we pretty much, I think we're pretty much on track.
I got a note from one of the pilots who, I want to read this. It's short. Yeah, he's the one that pointed me over toward the... He says, I've been listening to, this is the right note. Oh, yeah, okay. I've been listening to you covered the show and thought I could offer some assistance. First off, the MCAS maneuver characteristic augmentation system does not reference the pedostatic system. It looks AOA, angle of attack. Currently, it only looks at the signal from one of the two AOA sensors installed. But the upcoming software version will look at both signals and should greatly reduce the likelihood of a false MCAS activation. Secondly, MCAS does not push the nose of the aircraft down. When MCAS is activated, it trims the aircraft nose down. I think the distinction is important because despite what the president may believe, the 737 MAX is a relatively simple aircraft for an airliner, and pilots have always had the last authority to control the aircraft. Although I do believe Boeing should have included the MCAS in all its training materials from the get-go, does not exclude the pilots of either aircraft not being able to resolve these problems. Runaway trim is a simple procedure that should be trained during initial on any aircraft with electric trim. It was at my current airline and my previous employers as well. I am unfamiliar with the Lion Air or Ethiopian training procedures, but from the results, they appear to be inadequate, to say the least. Out of 7 pilots, only 1 knew what to do, including the previous Lion Air flight. I have other thoughts, but I don't want to just keep rambling. Let me know if you have any questions. He goes, he works for Southwest.
Yeah, so maneuvering characteristics augmentation system is MCAS. So it's like keeping your lane assist for an aircraft. But if you don't know what's going on, you don't know how to disable it if you have to. But ultimately, pilots will get blamed for this, and I think poor training is at hand, and Boeing certainly had a lot of other issues such as profitability up front other than having retraining going out. All in all, very sad day. Also, of course, got the expected angry emails from software developers when I said this is a perfect example of artificial intelligence gone wrong. And I put very large, loose descriptors around artificial intelligence. To me, it's an if-then script, skip logic almost. If-then.
Skip logic.
Yeah. No, I don't think software developers are to blame. But yes, a program manager within Boeing said, screw it, we'll just have this, fix it, and don't worry about it. We'll put it in the manual, and it'll work fine. It'll work fine. It is a level of arrogance at somewhere down the line. So anyway, it's sad. But, you don't hear about 1,000 people almost killed in a cyclone. No one gives a shit about them. What else came up today? 130 dead in Mali. We don't care. It's brown and black people. We don't need to put that on the news. No one cares. Ethnic attack. Where's all the coverage? No. There's your racism right there. No one gives a shit. Or do they?
They want those votes.
Yeah, exactly. They just want the votes. Just some leftover OTG stuff. Facebook. This is really strange. For someone, a company that's completely all in on protecting your shit. They stored their passwords in plain text. This is interesting. I didn't expect that from Facebook. Chinese.
Here's another thing that, as far as Facebook's concerned, there's an article that ran in, of all places, Boing. I think it must be getting out. But last week, this guy in Lithuania pled guilty in the U.S. of wire fraud, aggrieved identity theft, and money laundering charges, admitting that he had stolen $99 million from Facebook and $23 million from Google between 2013 and 2015. And all he was doing was sending in just random invoices.
And getting them paid?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
we should try that ourselves.
They just didn't pay any attention to with the PO or numbers and purchase order numbers and all the rest. And nobody had double check. They just kept sending him checks to the tune of over $120 million.
That's why didn't our exit strategy?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We should have thought of this one.
Yeah,
slam dunk.
Who knew these companies were that dumb?
All right, everybody, I'm off to hit the bottle of NyQuil and, start resting up for our Sunday show because it'll probably take a few days to get over whatever the hell this virus is. Thanks, kids.
It's the crud.
Yeah, it's whatever it is. It's nasty. I've been sitting down almost the whole show. Normally I stand up. I'm weak. Special thanks to Jesse Coy Nelson, Aaron Yoho, Tom Starkweather, and Lee O. LaPute for our end of show mixes. We love them. We love you sending them in. And remember that we have another show on Sunday. You can support us at Dvorak.org/NA. Coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, in the 5x9 Cludio in the common law condo. We're in FEMA region number 6 on the governmental maps. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here with another episode of the best podcast in the universe. Until then, adios, mofos, and such.
He shakes our nerves and he rattles our brains. Too much of carbon drives us all insane. We'll be submerged, but that's absurd. Goodness gracious, Al Gore's a liar. A carbon tax and he thought it was funny. He came along cause he wanted our money. Get in line, just pay the fine. Goodness gracious, Al Gore's a liar. 12 years, baby. Woo, all screwed. Cap and trade, ooh. You're gonna pay it like a good slave should. It's time to be fined. Maybe global warming, we're gonna die.
400,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every 24 hours, 365 days a year.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you on the other Sunday, which is Thursday, I think.
I think that's what's going to be a safety vote.
Oh, a safety vote.
You're going to call it the safety vote. I got a couple renaming.
I like this. I like safety vote. That sounds good.
A safety vote would be one way of putting it, but they already have it dubbed the people's vote. I think a safety vote would be good.
It also dehumanizes everybody. From people's vote to safety vote. It takes away the key word.
Sure we don't want to hurt anyone.
It takes away. Well, we also want to make sure people don't think that it's actually their vote. It's not from the people. It's for safety.
Mueller.
Now it's Mueller time.
So we need to get the full information. No collusion.
Now we can relax. President Trump.
The seismic shift in the Russia investigation.
The real fight is just beginning.
The way I look at it, this is the end of the beginning.
The beginning of the end. This is just the end of the beginning.
This is the start of something, apparently, not the end of something.
Mueller.
That report needs to be made public.
The Mueller report needs to be released in its entirety.
I hope every word, every sentence, every paragraph
draft of this report is released to the American people.
Full report public.
Let it come out. Let people see it. That's up to the Attorney General.
Nearly 2-year investigation into whether President Trump or anyone in his inner circle
now in the hands of the new Attorney General, William Barr.
Mueller has finally been submitted.
Mueller.
Any collusion?
My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
You notice that when she introduces herself, does she take on that Obama? You know, Obama put on accent.
She does the Latina thing where she does her, Anastasia Ocasio-Cortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez loves to throw out the accent when talking about herself.
Ocasio-Cortez.
Fox News likes to say my name incorrectly. Examine why something as small as a person's name makes me uncomfortable in the first place. This is an outrage. And it turns out the people at Gravian, they went and they did a check on Fox News, and they could find no examples of Fox News referring to her as Cortez. So I'm a victim. They don't call me by my right name.
What's your name? Alexandria.
What's your name?
Ocasio-Cortez.
Hannity keeps calling me Cortez. I'm not a conquistador. You are a destroyer of worlds.
I don't care. It's fine with me.
Now it's Mueller time.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
That's true.